record, and I've seen a lot of cops. I've seen a lot of lawyers pull out all the stops. I've seen a lot of children with their parents in their hands. I've felt a lot of women who refuse to understand. And I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take the world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. You see it in the papers, you read it every day. The riots and the fires going on in South LA. The muggers and the government, they're all wanting the same thing. They take you for your money, and whatever else you bring. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. 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 Guitar Players Planet.
See anybody on the show?
Hold on. How's that?
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Yeah, you were seeing the live feed. So when I got like a and B switch. So if you want to see the live stream, that's the live stream. If you just want the green room to see all five of us, you see us all five now. So
cool. How you doing today, Mr. Dan?
I don't know, man. So I closed the book on that deal that I was telling you. I haven't had the conversation with you know who, but after this one, I think that conversation is coming this week. So
you've got some.
Hey guys.
Yeah. Hey, what's up, man?
Not much.
But
pull my mic over.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay. Yeah.
But yeah, so we got our first picture of the month winner.
Right on.
So, and got that. So, I think I said that Chris Woodhouse said okay for May 21st, like a daytime thing, like a 2:00 p.m. kind of like we'll do a recorded thing, and whoever comes can come, and we'll record it and we'll play it on the following either Wednesday or Friday.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that's good to have Chris on. He'll be good.
Yeah,
I tell you, having Charles on last week was on Wednesday. That was a pretty good show, wasn't it?
he did an
That was a great
awesome
show.
presentation. He did really
He
good.
did.
Yeah. And Eric, I know that he'll send you that PDF. I mean, it's great to be able to have your own personal based upon your latitude and longitude.
Yep.
It is. And the matter of fact, and I got it. It's awesome. I
Oh, you
haven't
did
had a
get it?
chance to really go through it. Yeah, he sent it to me actually the next day.
Nice.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm good. What latitude you at, Eric?
42.
Okay, so you I'm at the 40 line, so I don't need another one. So that does 30, 40, 50, and but
Yeah.
I won't bother him for another one. What's up, Jess?
Hey, Jess.
Hold on. I don't hear you. Is that me or you? Hold on a second. Nope, that's me.
I am.
There you
I'm
go.
on-
No, you're good. You're good. It was me.
Hi
Hey,
guys.
Jess. How are you?
Hey,
How's it
Jess.
going?
What's happening?
We just got
See,
back.
I
We just got back home from the movies.
Oh.
Robin and I taking the kids to go see the new Fantastic Beasts. The new,
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
It was a lot of fun. It was fun. My daughter absolutely loves the Wizarding World and everything about it. So, oh my Lord, what is this man doing?
Oh, Scott's got to make his entrance.
It's almost.
Drum roll.
I know, right?
all you
I want,
need
him,
was.
I want him to go back and then turn around like a James Bond type thing.
I'll put the little circle around him.
Yeah, I'm kidding.
He's gonna do it now. Oh, no, he's gonna do it. Watch, he's gonna do it.
Or how about the pipe with the?
There he goes. There he goes.
There he is. Oh, sweet Lord.
We should open up with that, man. That's great. Oh man. Oh man. How come, it's a beautiful night out here in New York. It's awesome. And 26-mile-an-hour winds. I can't get rid of them. The sky's beautiful.
Yeah.
There's not a cloud in the sky.
I gotta check it out. I think I'll have a shot tomorrow,
I don't.
which means hopefully it'll come towards you.
Yeah, I think I saw something on Sunday. Let me see. Astropheric. Let's see. So Friday's no
so
good
right
because of the wind.
now-
Yeah. So Sunday
8
night
mile
looks
per
great for me. So
Yeah.
winds
I
about.
am trying to image right now. I mean, I'm trying to get myself, set up right now. So we'll see how this goes tonight.
All right.
So
Well, tomorrow
it's windy.
I'll
It's
be
nowhere
back
near
at
as
it.
windy as it would. Was that?
Go ahead. Sorry, Jesse.
No, I was saying, yeah, I've had wind today, but it shouldn't be too much of a problem. Right now, I've got like a little bit of clouds trying to move on in, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah. Well, it's full moon, so break out that narrow band.
Yep.
But tomorrow I'm gonna put back on the FL on the refractor and keep working on this FLT 91.
Yep.
Eventually, I'll get to a point where hopefully I'll have a decent string of nights that I'll actually be able to put the Schmidt on and maybe grab a Galaxy or something.
That would be cool. That would be very.
That would
cool.
be nice.
That'd be very nice.
Really nice.
Sweet.
So yeah, so back at it. So I heard
Check,
from Gert
check.
Newman, and so I'm still waiting on the CTU. So he said he was going to ship it this into this week. So we'll see.
So I got a thing to throw. So I got a Richie to collimate.
Oh, you do?
Well, it's a customer's. He said,
But you got the Richie to try to call him in, huh?
well, I told him flat out. I said, listen, I am not a pro with. I could do Schmitz, I could do Newts, I could even mess with the refractor. I have very limited experience with the Richies, and I told him. I said, listen. He's like, listen, it's bad already. He said, I trust you. I know you, whatever. And then I said, all right, you know what? I normally don't do this because I know you. I'll take it. I'll try it. But I'll tell you this. it may come back worse than what it is. So that being said, I took it and I'm looking at it, and he's got a tilt plate for his focuser, a GSO focuser. It's a GSO 6-inch, little $500. Yeah, it's a $500.
Yeah, it's one of the cheap 500 China.
But he's got the tilt. What's that?
It's a China-made focuser. What do you expect?
Oh yeah, did you see my video? Oh, you're not on it. I did the wiggling of the GSO focuser.
Yeah, those are junk focusers.
It's crap.
Oh my God.
But what he did was he bought a tilt adjuster for the focuser, which comes with about a 2-inch extension tube. And then the GSO screws on. And then what happens is, because of the primary adjustment screws, the primary adjustment screws are covered by the tilt plate for the focuser. So I got to figure out a way to do the tilt of the focuser, unscrew the focuser very carefully, get the focuser off, do the secondary and the primary with the collimator, and put the focuser back on.
Put the focuser back on.
Yeah.
And then because you got to collimate the focuser too.
Well, the focuser should be done first, as far as and so.
Man, you got a Rubik's Cube there.
So I'm going to tell him flat out. I'm like, yo, I thought this tilt plate was a good idea when you told it to me, but after looking at it, it's too big. It's too big. It's not. It needs to be a smaller diameter so you could reach those primary screws.
Why doesn't he just have the tilt not on the focuser, but get a camera tilt unit? Just get a camera tilting unit. Do that.
Because the whole thing with the Ritchie, it's different. You have to have the focuser dead on to the secondary. Correct me if I'm wrong, Pete. At least that's my understanding. That the focuser needs to be dead on with the secondary, which it needs to be dead on to the primary. So there's 3 different things you have to collimate in order to collimate a Ritchie, which is the focuser, the secondary, and the primary.
Right, and that's why, and I follow that. That's why I'm asking if he's having issues with tilt, with possible camera tilt. Why doesn't he just get a camera tilt unit and just adjust the tilt on the camera sensor?
Would that work? I don't know if that would work. I think the camera's got to be changed. I think the angle of the focuser needs to be good first, and then you should probably have both if you're using anything. If I'm thinking right.
Yeah, I would figure you would collimate the focuser, get the Ritchie all collimated and perfect, get that done, and then with the camera, see if there's still any tilt, with the camera sensor, and then get a camera tilt unit for the camera and adjust the camera.
Right. But you would have to have both, because just because you have tilt in the focuser, you don't fix it by fixing the tilt on the camera. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I guess.
You're just putting you're putting a Band-Aid on a hole, and the other hole's ready to go. So.
Yeah, I know how you can fix it, Dan.
I know.
Fix it really.
I know exactly how to fix it.
There you go, right here. That's all you need.
I was gonna say a stick of dynamite, but
and then just blame it on FedEx.
Oh man.
Well, hold on, Dan. I got to share this one with you, right?
Oh my.
So this here is the velocity, right?
Yep, I know it.
So on the back, you'll see there's the back plate.
Yep.
Okay, let me see if I can get the mirror in here. Okay, if I get a little closer.
The other way.
Go the other way.
There you go.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So you see the back plate, right? That's the black. You see those set screws on the back, right?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay. The smaller ones are the collimation screws.
Right.
So now what happens with this? You put on my knee here. The Atlas focuser comes up to here.
Gotcha.
So I've got 3/4 of an inch between collimation screws and where the Atlas focuser is. So now I've got to get the long Allen screw like Eric did on Wednesday night. I've got to go in there and I got to cut it. I got to cut it. I only have about 1/4 of an inch.
You need a nub.
Be able to inside there to be able to do the collimation screws.
That's horrible.
But I tell you, that's the problem with these engineers. They don't have to fix it. They design it. They don't have to fix it.
They design it, but they ain't got to fix it.
It's hard. And you know what? Not for nothing. If you take a look at the GSO Richie, there's no way to fix the tilt of that. It's literally just a screw on. It's a screw on. There's no way to fix the tilt on that focuser.
No, it's a cheap.
More like
no,
a screw up.
With a $500 RC, no. Forget about it.
I told them to sell it. I said sell it.
Yeah.
Honest to God, I mean, really.
Fire sale.
Hammer sale.
Yeah. Hammer time.
Exactly. Fix it right here. No problem. S-wing. It'll fix anything.
You know, it's kind of like you buy cheap, you get cheap, and then you wonder why you're having issues with it. Because
then you
once again, it's
Oh my God! Did you see the video? The damn rattle, 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 rattle.
Oh, it was so funny. I did when you tightened up the lock, it moves the whole draw tube.
Yeah.
It moves the whole draw tube. I'm like, how am I supposed to collimate this? How is this supposed to work? You know. But I told them, hey, listen, I got it almost close. I found, and you know what I did? I didn't know that this happened with we got 1 minute. So the Howie Glatter, since Starlight took them over, they changed the thread of the concentric circle adapter. They changed the thread of the actual collimator. And so the newer concentric circle does not fit on the older collimator, which is what I have. Right.
Oh, so you got the 2-inch one?
I have the 2-inch one, but it's the old one, just like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the newer Starlight concentric circle one has a different thread.
Oh my God!
Since they changed it to a coarse thread.
Not a fine thread.
No, they changed it to a coarse thread. Howie Glatter had a thing about
same diameter.
And I'm getting somebody's echo over the headset, just so.
Yeah, I hear an echo.
Is it the same diameter?
Hold on, I gotta see where this echo is. Check. Now it's gone. What happened? Who changed that stuff? It must have been Scott. I see his arm over.
Well, I was checking my volume levels.
Yeah, maybe your volume was too high. I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. It's gone now. Whatever. But,
so we ready to start?
Yep, ready to go.
Hit it.
All right. And how many people we got on now? We got 16 people on already. All right, cool. Oh.
Yep.
All right. How'd that happen? Well, they just heard everything. So how'd that happen? Anyway, I don't know how that happened.
No whammies.
That's okay. Ready? 10 seconds out. Here we go. Okay, I think now everybody could hear us.
Can you hear me now?
Can you hear me now? I can hear someone now. I think I
Yep,
hear
they got you. You're hot.
I had to switch it manually for some reason. I'm not sure what happened, but all right, cool. We're good. All right.
Awesome.
Oh, how's it going? Oh, geez, here we go. Scott's starting already. All right, and Pete's got his Maple Leafs hat on, and that's great. And
they beat Washington 7-2. 7-2.
Yeah, the Lightning were kicking some tail.
The Lightning.
Enough with the hockey.
Who cares about the Lightning? How's it going, everybody?
Hey guys,
welcome to our Friday night chat again.
I think we got some echo.
Yeah, we do. And I'm trying to
More
find
echo.
out where from.
Echo.
And let's see. I'm trying to lock it down. I'm not sure where it's coming from, but it's gone now. So,
Okay.
How's it going, everybody? And we are here again for our Friday night astrophotography chat. So thank you for everybody coming down. And Scott's got his hang tough going. And yeah, so let's just get right into it and start with our sponsors, because we have a new level of sponsorship now. So I'm still getting a little bit of an echo from somebody's speakers feedbacking into the mic. So and it is.
I turned mine down.
Actually, it is you, Scott. I see it on your levels. But,
is it me?
Yeah, it's you. Yep.
Let me turn my mic level down. Hold on.
It's not your mic. Well, it's either your mic level or your speaker level. Turn it down.
Yeah, it's probably the mic levels. I think
Now I hear nothing. Nope, I still hear me. Anyway, so let's get let's get right into the sponsors. And let's see if this goes on. Yeah, so thank you all to our sponsors. We got Woodland Hills Cameron Telescopes and Night Skies Network at our main sequence level. So thank you so much for them for sponsoring us. And then we also have, Prima Luce Lab and Camera Concepts at our Red Giant level. And at our Super Giant level, we have Masters of Pixinsight. One of these days, I'll put the IP for AP logo up there. I can't seem to find a decent one on the web. I'll have to get one from Pete. But Masters of Pixinsight, which we're doing a drawing tonight on Masters of Pixinsight Class. And I got to say thank you to Andres, who won last week. I spoke to Andres, and he said, you know what? I don't need the $50 gift certificate. You can kick it back in, and we're going to roll it again tonight. So we got 2 giveaways tonight. So here we go. So here is our first Black Hole member. We have a Black Hole member now, and that is John Gambal. So thank you to Black Hole. Black Hole members are going to be slated for anybody goes above the $10 range per month. So I got to figure out what kind of perks you're going to get, John, because you're the only one. But anybody who goes over that $10 per month level on Patreon will become a Black Hole member. So thank you to John and being an awesome supporter there. And then
appreciate
of course,
it, John.
Yeah, our Red Giant members, Chris, Mark, Bob, Andres, all you guys, thank you so much. Main Sequence members, we had a couple of people that moved over from the Main Sequence in YouTube to Main Sequence in Patreon. So thank you to Dank Solo and Paul Burgard, who are our next 2 people that migrated over to the Patreon membership. So thank you so much for that. And at our Protostar level, we got Kieran's Corner. So thank you to Kieran and his sponsorship as well. All right, so we got some upcoming guests. April 29th, we got Dr. Gaston, and I'm not going to pronounce his last name because I'm going to butcher it, but he's from Innovations Foresight. He's going to be giving us a nice rundown on axis guiding, which is going to be pretty cool. So come check that out on April 29th. May 4th, we have Richard Wright coming on from Starstone Software. And he will be also going over what products and what software he's coming out with from the astrophotography point. May 13th, we have Eric Coles, who's an astrophotographer and one of the presenters at the Astro Imaging Channel. And then May 20th, we have Maxi, and I'm not going to pronounce his last name either. He is an astrophotographer that I've gotten to be friends with through the Global Star Party at Explore Scientific, and he's going to come on and show on. He's got some awesome photographs, so don't miss that. Also, just recently, we booked Chris Woodhouse, and he is going to be on a recorded show. He is another author, and if any of you guys and girls missed the presentation by Charles Bracken on Wednesday night, go check it out, because he did an unbelievable job and an unbelievable presentation, and we can't wait to have him back, because he's giving us an autographed book to give away for the second edition of the Astrophotography Planner.
Two books, he says.
2 books. And
he's going to do 2 books.
Well, if the other one comes out at the same time, he has another project that's coming out, and he's going to send that to us as well as a giveaway. So that's going to be pretty cool. But go check it out. It was very entertaining. It was over 2 hours, and it sped by like that.
It sped by.
It really
and let me say something here really quick, Dan. Another thank you to Charlie again. For he can do custom planners for your astronomy, for your location, and he sells them for $20. I believe his email is deep sky planner or imager at gmail.com, and if you send him your coordinates or location as well as your time zone, for $20, he can send you your own custom planner, astrophotography planner. He sent me mine the very next day. I actually told him that I was going to do it. I sent and gave him my coordinates, and the very next morning, I saw the PDF in my inbox, and so I was more than happy to send him the $20. Very well worth it. I'm looking forward to reading it and learning, how to, navigate the planner to understand a bit more about it. So I'm really looking forward to it. But again, thank you, Charlie. Really appreciate it. And we can't have you back on. Appreciate it, man.
And definitely go grab it. I mean, literally, Eric got his. He ordered it from Amazon, and he got it the next day. So I got mine in 2 days. I think I ordered it on a Saturday. But I'm telling you, if you want to know when something comes up and goes down and when the best time of the year to image something, there you go. Go grab it.
Absolutely. I mean, that, and like I said, and mine was custom for my area, which was awesome that he did that for me. So that was really, really cool.
Yeah. So if you're in between, so he actually lays out for 30 degrees latitude, 40 degrees latitude, and 50 degrees latitude. So if you're anything other than that, he will definitely send you, a personalized planner, which is kind of cool.
It really is.
All right, and what else do we have? So, and again, our other, everyone knows all of our other social media platforms. So, we are ready to break 50 members on the Discord channel. So, we would like to get 50 members. Feel free to go on our Patreon and look for AstroWorld TV on Patreon. And you could donate to us from there. And if you don't want to do anything on a monthly basis, feel free to hit the smiley face or the dollar bill sign in the chat in YouTube. And you could just throw some money at us, and it goes right to the kitty for giveaways, shirts, whatever else that we got going on. So, and if you don't even want to do that, go to the Redbubble store, where we give 5% of the profits to every quarter. 5% of the profits go to a random astrophotography club somewhere around the globe. So go check that out. There's some cool stuff. Eric's actually Eric's the model for tonight.
Merch.
He's modeling the hoodie. And
I got the hoodie. What else do I get? Oh, I didn't even show you this one.
Well, you showed us the mouse mat.
Did I show? I didn't show. I don't know if I showed everybody else the mouse mat. I mean, this thing is huge and it's awesome.
Yep.
I mean, look at that thing.
That's pretty cool.
This is a pretty cool, good size mat. So
there you go. And all right. So we don't have a guest tonight, but we do have a couple of things to go over. First thing, and I don't know if anybody noticed this, while the music was rolling, I didn't put the picture of the week that won this week in there this week. And that was done by design. I didn't want the person that won the picture of the week, and I'm not going to do it from now on either, to know while the music is rolling that they won. So I figured that, you know, we would put it on the show while we were talking about it, and that it would be a surprise, and we could say congratulations to them. And we also have the first picture of the month winner has been selected. The voting is ended at 5 o'clock today, and we have the winner of the picture of the month. So the first picture, what is this? Oh my goodness, Scott, what are you doing? Oh my, what do you got? The Joker, Freddy, and the guy from Ghostbusters. Yeah. What the hell was his name? Vigo. That's right.
Vigo.
All right.
Vigo the Carpathian.
That's
yes.
it.
Okay. Wasn't he also Vigo the Butch?
Okay, so Astro Pal, picture of the week. Here we go. The picture of the week winner is Andrus. Andrus got 52% of the vote. So congratulations to Andrus with the Horsehead Nebula. So nice job to Andrus. And with
congratulations.
Is that a grayscale or is that a true mono?
I think it's just HA, if I remember right.
Yeah, I think it is HA.
Yeah, I think it's just HA. It's still up there. Okay. If you want, you can look at the stats online. It's still there. But for our AstroWorld picture of the month for March, anyone want to take a guess who the winner was?
Let's see. I'm
thinking it was Mark Ellis.
I'm thinking it may have been Mark. Maybe.
I think it was that image of Simius 147.
Spaghetti Nebula. That was okay. All right, everybody. We will no longer keep you in suspense for the AstroWorld March picture of the month. That picture of the month was 57% of the vote. Goes to
drum roll,
Chris Freerskin.
Chris, in the image I will never get out of my head again. Thank you, Tegan.
There you go.
Yeah,
so, awesome, Chris. The Rosette Nebula.
Yeah, awesome. Chris actually titled it in his picture. He titled it the Flaming Skull, of course.
Skull.
And I still titled it the Rosette, so I apologize. So Chris, congratulations. You will have the March entry of the 2023 AstroWorld calendar. So congratulations to Chris.
Very cool. Congrats, Chris.
I love having these buttons here. I just got to hit buttons now. I don't have to use a mouse. So I guess basically what we should talk about is what kind of projects we got. Anybody got any projects going on? Because I got 26 mile an hour. I got beautiful clear skies, lovely 26 mile an hour winds. I can't, that's what you get for living on Long Island, I guess. But
I'm trying to multitask here. I've not done the show and tried to set anything up before, so we'll see how well this goes. And I haven't had a chance to do any kind of imaging since I put the 127 on, and I do have the my one-shot color back on. So I've had a chance to get it up because you guys know where I am with trees, so I have to get it set up. Polar lines. So right now, I could not see Polaris now. If for any reason, so I have to just kind of trust that my polar alignment's going to hold for another few months. So my project in the second, I'm looking at this direction, is my back focus right? Do I have everything set up right? So I really said I've got everything set up. I've got everything talking to each other and playing nicely. So we'll see if anything happens over here.
Yeah. You know what? I'm actually, you brought up back focus, Jesse. I was actually watching a video, a YouTube video yesterday from a gentleman. I don't recall his name, but I know he has quite a following on YouTube, talking about Nina. And I don't know, do you use Nina, Jesse?
I do not.
Okay.
I use APT. I've played around in SGP for a little bit. I had a hard time getting the images that I took in there to calibrate. So, I spent a little bit of time playing with it, fell in love with it. Then I went to try and process stuff. And honestly, I was like, you know what? Why am I battling this? I was doing fine with APT. Let me just go right back where I was. And then shortly after they started doing the monthly subscription and whatnot. So I was like, you know what? I'm happy where I am with this for now. But I'd had my back focus. I got it right. And then I went and just added a manual rotator to it. So now it's off just a little bit, so we'll see.
Okay. And the reason I'm bringing this up, Jesse, is Nina, and I don't use Nina. Everybody knows I use the ASI Air Pro, but I'm very intrigued because I'm working on my FLT91, and I'm working on its back focus. I actually had to switch. A couple people actually, when I was posted a message for a little bit of help on the William Optics owners Facebook page, they told me to switch back over to the larger adapter for the FLT91 to hook it up to for my flattener, right? But what I'm getting at is that when it comes to back focus being so critical, they've got this module or plugin on Nina that I had never heard of until a gentleman mentioned it, called Hocus Focus. And I actually saw a video on it, and it looks really, really interesting because it actually assists you with telling you how far, or helping you, guiding you with your back focus. If you're too far, if you're too far or too far away, your center's too far or too far back, and how to adjust that, as well as it gives you information as far as also for camera tilt.
Okay.
So
you guys
I'm
are
really
going to convert me eventually, because I know, Dan, you've mentioned it before, and I did go so far as to download it and play around with it a little bit. Then it was like that unicorn of clear nights, and I was like, oh, no, I'm not trying anything new. I'm just going to go with what I know.
The whole thing with new stuff is that you never ever want to waste a clear night on. And I've done it. I've done it plenty of times. I was like, oh man, I got all new gear. I'm going to be great. And I go outside. What do? I just get so pissed off at my gear. I don't even take a picture. And, and that's, but that's what it is. And that's one of the big mistakes that people that just get into the hobby do. They just sit there, they go out, and except for Scott. Scott took like 6 months before he took this, and he did it right. And I know we make a lot of fun of Scott, but he did it right. He spent 6 months or so putting it together, taking it apart, doing the right thing, making sure everything connects, getting in a routine of doing it, so he was ready to take that beast out and to take a picture. And you know what? That's something that a lot of people don't do. That monster right there, there it is. That lens cap is as wide as my garbage can. I mean, it's crazy. But
yeah, it's 16 inches.
Yeah, so I mean, you got to kind of do it right, and you got to do your due diligence, especially when you just. It's one thing to say when you're, experienced and you try and eat, but even so, experience doesn't really say a lot when things happen. Things do happen, especially when you're throwing new spokes in the wheel, and then the wheel doesn't turn. So.
There's so many subsystems, so many subsystems that make up the whole system, and you start throwing things in there and messing around. Then you take into account the weather, and you got to take into account, what that's doing with wind and this and that, and scene conditions, and I mean, it's a ballet.
Yeah, it really is, and it's tough, and it's not easy. But once you get it down, you're up.
You're up and going. You're set. Yeah, Pete.
It's interesting is that when I get calls from the people that actually do want to start into getting into the hobby, I tell them for a week straight, put the light on, tear it apart, put it back, get all the connections, then close the drapes, shut the light off, and get like one of those little lamps on top of your head. literally now start putting it together for a couple of days where you just know intuitively how everything just gets connected. And by that third week, then you'll be ready to go outside and do it, because you're right. You've got to take the time and do the prep work to understand exactly what you have to do and what connections have to go where.
Exactly.
Yes.
When I first set up, like, I keep everything, set up enough that I don't have to do a lot of the plugins, but I got one of those labelers, and I put on the ends of each one of the cords, like this goes to this and this goes to this. So I could just look and go, okay, this goes to power box and this one goes to camera. And, this one goes to focus. And I mean, now they're all mixed moshed, and somebody was looking, I think my husband was looking at it the other day, and he's like, it's like, it says it's, yeah, kind of like that, except for add like little blue labels to the ends of everything. So,
that is like King Mimi or Memi or whatever it is. But yeah, it's not an easy thing. It's not, there's something to be said, as Scott just showed on the picture, about, let's talk about it. Since why don't we talk about it? What about, how does everybody kind of deal with cable management? Especially when you're dealing with a new rig. How do you, why doesn't everybody give like a pointer on how they deal with their cable management?
Well,
even with an eagle,
there is still or
a bunch
of
wires,
or an ASI air. You're still gonna have a bunch of wires.
Yes.
For me, before I even get it outside, even get my scopes outside, I set them up. I have another mount. I have my little AVX mount here. I'll set it up in there, and I actually purchased from Amazon. I actually purchased a loom cable of cable management, of cable management ties that I feed everything, and I through that loom, and I get everything set up on that guy before I even take that thing outside and put it on my mount. Seriously, that's the biggest pet peeve for me, and it drives me nuts. And I can get bad at it, and I can forget things sometimes. So I really have to push myself to remind myself, hey, take care of these cables, get things straight. I even try to measure with, I have a tape measure that I have here. I've got a little roll tape measure that I'll actually try and, take a measurement, and I'll add on maybe a couple more inches or so. And if I can, I'll try to order close to the length that I need of the type of cable that I need. So if it be it a 1 foot, 2 foot, whatever, 3 foot, whatever it is, so I don't have so much, slack, right? So I will go on like the Cables to Go or Amazon or whatever, and I'll actually order cables that will be close to what I think the length I need. So I don't have to have that extra, I don't have to buy a 6 foot cable or something like that. And then I'll just put it all in the loom, put it up in the cable management loom, and there you go. And that's usually the things that I do personally is that type of stuff.
All right. Pete, Scott? Yes?
Go ahead, Pete.
Scott?
No, go ahead. I'm looking for something.
Okay, it's just like the scope behind me. This is my portable setup back here. And so typically what I do is on all my installations that I do for my clients is, once again, like Eric says, is I'll basically loom them together. So part of what I get is I get a big spool of tool ties right here. So what I'll end up doing is rather than just having the raw cable, I'll end up going ahead and just splicing the cable in through here and just looming it all together. And then I'll end up Velcroing it. So this particular rig up here now, I got like 2 or 3 looms, 2 or 3 raw wires all loomed up together. They're Velcro strapped. And literally what I can do is I can just pull out 2 or 3 USB cables, and I can just pull off the telescope.
Yep.
And then from there, I'll go ahead and get the Pegasus, take the power supply off the Pegasus. And within about 3 minutes, basically just down to the raw amount. So it's just kind of doing the prep work and the planning ahead of time, just making it so easy to put it back on.
Yep, for sure.
I don't know. Scott's still looking for stuff, or
What do you do, Jesse, as far as cable management?
So I have some of the looming that as well, just because I'm getting everything set back up now. And my intention, I hope, is when I get my 70 millimeters set up, I won't have to kind of keep moving the cords around, so I can do something a little more permanent. Because I had ordered some of the more customized, I guess, size cords, but when you're switching it back and forth, I had everything Velcroed on top. I just have a dovetail that was on top of each one of the OTAs, and I had Velcro, and I just slap everything on there and change the cords around everything, which was a tremendous nuisance. So I'm hoping I can stop doing that, but I'm not really happy with where I have my cords yet. Right now, I have an incredibly large piece of, strap of duct tape holding the power box and my USB hub onto the 127. So it's secure enough for what I'm doing tonight, which is pretty much just playing around. I think I'm going to have too much moon to do any kind of galaxy imaging with a one-shot color tonight. So, I'll just play around a little bit. But if I disappear, it's me running outside because, just because it's a whole new setup, I want to make sure I'm not banging in everything and my cords are not getting wrapped up. So if I can get the movement right, I'll probably go ahead and start strapping some things down. I had ordered off of Amazon like 2 years ago. It was a 30 pack of all sorts of different size Velcro straps, and I'm down to 2 of them. I mean, I've used them for whether it's just wrapping cords up or strapping cords to this or that to that, and so, but lots of Velcro. So,
Now you just mentioned something real quick, Jesse, that you're out because it is a full moon tonight, and you're about Galaxy. This is Galaxy season. What I don't know if do you have any type of narrow band or one shot dual band filters that you can use to grab the HA?
I do have the ZWO Duo Narrowband, and I may play with it, but I'm so limited on. I mean, I'm going to have maybe 2 hours to catch bodes before it jumps behind the trees, and then I'm going to have to wait about an hour before the whirlpool comes. So just because of the way the trees are around my yard. So I just don't think tonight's gonna be really good for doing any imaging. So I'm just gonna play around.
Well, the reason I was asking that was I was asking is because because there's a lot of HA, because don't forget also in these galaxies there's nebulae and there's emission nebulae, and so you can use a narrowband filter to get that HA. So you don't have to necessarily miss out on an opportunity to do some imaging tonight if you want to. If you have that, go ahead.
Explain to me how, because I did Triangulum Galaxy over the winter time.
Okay.
And I went a little crazy with it. But then I did go back, I don't know, a couple weeks later and took some with the dual band. And I wanted to go in and try and put it together, and it was a disaster. And then I was like, you know what, life got in the way. I just never came back to it. So I wasn't quite sure how to even add that to that. So I've got some okay data.
I will tell you, are you using Pixinsight?
Yes.
Or do you use, definitely go to Visible Dark, check out Sean's website, check out Sean's video on adding hydrogen alpha to a one-shot color video. Okay, because he really shows you how to do this. Because, as I said, there's a lot of HA, not a lot, but there's enough HA in galaxies because you're picking up you're picking up those emission nebulae that are in that actual galaxy, so you may want to add that in there. It does set it off.
And you get those little nice little purple knots all over the spiral arms, and that's how you get those.
The spiral arms, exactly. You're using HA. I mean, M82, the Cigar Galaxy, which is right there next to Bodes. That Starburst HA. That Starburst is HA.
I've done both 81 and 82 in the same frame with this, so I could do that again. But the clouds are kind of throwing my party right now too. So.
I mean, you won't get a lot of HA boosting from 82. I'm sorry, from 82. Sorry, the Bodes is 81. 81. I'm
it's
sorry.
anyone. You
The Cigar
really get the
Galaxy, you'll
starburst.
get the lot.
Yeah.
You know,
You
you'll
get that
the lot.
burst right there in the middle.
From M81, you won't get a lot. M82, you'll get a ton. But Scott, what do you do with your cable management?
Well, it's let's see, show you.
Okay.
So if you look at that, right, all of my cables are on top of the scope except for this one right here. So I have one cable dropping off of the scope, right? And then just like Jesse said, Velcro. You know, and the other thing is to I learned the hard way about using the cables that come with the cameras and things. Don't do that. Most of the cables that come with those cameras, they're the cheapest thing that they can possibly put in the box.
Especially the ZWO flat cables.
Yeah, they're terrible. They're awful.
Those
Just
are the
take
worst.
those, put them outside, and put some some charcoal lighter fluid on them and barbecue.
Light them up.
Best thing you can do with those, right? And then go to get Cable Matters. What's the other ones? Start not Starlink.
Trip Light, Cable Matters.
Cable Matters.
Star Tech.
Cable Matters, Cables to Go. Star Tech.
Yep.
Yeah.
Anything that has something that shields. It's got to be shielded. It's got to be shielded well.
Yeah, get the shielded ones and but make sure that you get them in appropriate lengths. Don't buy 12-foot sections. Don't if you don't need 6 foot, get 4-foot sections. You know, I bought cables that are 18 inches, 12 inches because I didn't need them any longer than that.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I can probably zoom in even a little further on this. No, I can't. I can maybe if I do it this way. Can I do it this way? There we go. So, you know, all of my cables, you know, you can see them coming off of the mount right there, right? Everything is tied up on the scope. The only thing that comes down off of that scope is that one power cable. And that thing's a beast. You know, it's at least a 14 gauge coming off of that goes down, and everything runs off of the Eagle.
Yeah. So,
you know, so all the cable management is up on the scope. So nothing tangles.
Well, so wait, you have a guide scope up there plus an off-axis guider? Is that what I'm seeing?
But the only reason that I'm using that.
Oh, Scott just dropped off.
Did we lose him? Did he drop off? He just froze.
Literally just dropped off as we were talking.
Wow. Yeah.
I have no idea how that dropped.
That's okay.
The only reason that I'm using that guide scope is for polar alignment, unless I am imaging at the front of the scope.
Got it.
If I'm imaging at the front of the scope, then I'll use the guide scope, the Guide Star 61. But if I'm at the back of the scope, it's OAG.
Nice. Well, for me, I love this stuff. This stuff. People were talking about looms. And stuff like that with the, and correct me if I'm wrong, Pete, the one that you were showing around has it's like a twisty, right? It like twists, right? Mm-hmm. These are nice. These are like woven kind of tubes, and they're split in the middle.
Yep, the split loom. Yep.
And it holds, it holds a good 3-4 cables, and then you can make them as long as you want. You can get as much as you want, with this stuff. So I just cut a little one. You get up to 20 feet. They come in 2 different colors. Can come in 2 different widths. One's a 3/4 inch, one's a full inch. And all you do, and I don't like those. I guess from being an IT, and Eric, I'm sure you'll agree with me. I hate those plastic zip ties. I hate them.
Yeah.
They make things look nice, but they do so much damage to your cables that you don't realize it.
I also use Velcro. Yeah, I use the Velcro feed, when the ones that feed through.
These little Velcros like this?
Yep, exactly.
And that's it.
I use those at work too.
It comes in a little thing from Staples. You get like 30 of them and a little ball and grab that. You know, I mean, literally, I can't say more. I mean, there's so much of it that, you know, because it's so cheap that, you know, it really makes a big deal. And one other question I want to throw out to the group. I think I'm pretty sure I know the answer coming from the background of IT, and Eric, I'm sure you know the answer. So power cables and data cables. Do we put them in the same loom, or do we not put them in the same loom?
I don't. They interfere.
They do.
They interfere. They
do.
Cause interference.
And Jesse's ready to bolt. I see it ready to go. But yeah, try and do that separate power cable, data cable thing, because Eric is exactly right. Especially
if you're like, for me, with my with my ASI Air Pro, I don't use it wirelessly. I have everything through my Ethernet backbone. I use a shielded Ethernet cable. Okay, just for, you know, because I do have my power cords kind of close nearby and everything like that. So yeah, I keep them separate, but you know, they can get close to one another. So having them shielded to help, you know, prevent that interference. Absolutely. You don't want to do that. Don't mix your USB cables or your data transmission cables up with your power cables.
Yeah, you definitely don't want to do that. I mean, that's you're just asking for a world of hurt. Go ahead, Pete.
It's the 7 P's: prior, proper, prevention, prevents piss poor performance.
There you go.
Yes, sir. That's it. That's absolutely right.
Well, I mean, it's one of the things. I was having this conversation with my son, you know, the other day, and you know, he was saying, "Dad, what can I do to increase the performance of my computer?" And I'm like, "Well, for crying out loud, boy, you know, you've got plenty of memory, you've got plenty of ROM, you got plenty of RAM. You've got a killer
I haven't heard ROM in a long time. I haven't heard that statement in a long time. Oh, there he is, Nathan. What are you doing?
And you know, we you know, what it came down to, believe it or not, was having a decent power supply. A lot of the power supplies in computers are junk. You know, unless you get a decent one that's shielded and has, you know, good solid connections and this and that. Power supplies. I mean, you get a bad power supply in a computer. Holy cow! I mean, you can fry every component in that computer if that thing goes on the fritz.
Yeah.
You know,
absolutely.
Power and good shielded power cables worth their weight in platinum, man.
Yeah. Seriously.
Agreed.
Matter of fact, one of the things I'm actually going to be doing is I'm working on, you know, getting this observatory. Because you and I have talked about it. It's one of my goals is to have this observatory. So I'm going to be, at least right now, I'm building the platform. I'm going to build the platform this summer for the shed. So I think I'm going to do a roll off roof shed. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to get 2 separate runs of. I'm going to put 2 separate runs of conduit, of PVC gray conduit. I'm going to bury it in the ground, and I'm running my Cat 6 and my USB in one, and then I'm actually going to run fresh electrical, you know, from my from here in the basement to and I'm going to have 2 separate outlets, 2 separate receptacles, have everything set up, so that way when I do eventually get the shed, you know, set up, everything's set. I have separate receptacles for USB and my Ethernet on one and my power on another. You know, keeping them totally separate from one another. Because
when you go down to see Dr. Scott, you're going to see that with what he's done, because that's the way we planned it out for him. We had 2 separate conduits for the data and the power. You're absolutely right. It's just, you have to do that. You really have to do that.
You absolutely do.
You're just asking for real world to hurt, and you will be troubleshooting this for days and sessions sometimes, and not realizing that it could be something as simple as having your data and power connections right next to each other, and it's interrupting that USB.
And you know, there's something else that we should definitely talk about too, is that one of the things that, once again, it's kind of like insurance, right? We all hate insurance, but when we need it, we're sure glad we've got it, right?
Sure.
We spend the extra money. But hold on one second. I just want to show everybody. One of the good investments that you can get is what I call a power conditioner. Basically, it's a voltage regulator. And literally what you do is you just put this between your power source and your cable, and you can literally set it for what the voltage. So if you need, like, say 16 volts, if you need 14 volts or whatever, you can do it. But I tell you what, these things are inexpensive. They're PowerWorks.
Yep.
If you've got fluctuations in your incoming power, you definitely want to get one of these, because it just keeps that constant incoming voltage. It just regulates it.
Good to know.
Well, and that goes for just about anything that you're dealing high-end electronics in. You know, my receivers for my stereo, for my surround sound systems and such. I mean, you're just asking for trouble not using a power conditioner.
Yes.
You know, so Pete's absolutely right.
Yep, definitely a best bet there from Pete. So that's a really good idea. I mean, I don't know if I'm going to go running out and buy power conditioners, but I mean, I probably should. You know,
well, you see, that's one of the nice things about going with the Yeti, Dan, is that device really has a very nice modulator built right into it.
Built right into it.
It really does. I've never had any problems with the Yeti, and you can plug the Yeti directly into your house current.
Yep.
You know, and it will act as not only a buffer for the power conditioner, but also it's a full-on battery. So if you want to use it just straight like that, you can do it.
Yeah, and it was like, you know, I was gonna buy the 1000X and from Yeti, from Goal Zero, and you know, I was like, oh my god, I want to have it for Cherry Springs, because I'm going to Cherry Springs in, what is it, 6 weeks? So I'm going to be going. So I want it. So then I was like, well, you know what? Not for nothing. Well, why am I in a rush to get it? Because Cherry Springs has power all over the place. So, you know, I won't need it for that. But it would be a really, really, really good thing to have if I go to, if I go to the beach, like I go to Robert Moses Beach every once in a while, or if I go out to Montauk or somewhere off site that doesn't have some power source. And it's real important. It's really, really important to have for the safety of your own equipment. It's really, really, really important to have something that's voltage regulated, that you're able to not get those spikes or brownouts, which are both equally horrible for computer equipment. And you just got to be careful with it.
How many people have like a RV and then they have a generator?
Yeah.
So they fire up the generator. All of a sudden, the generator is starting to spike. I mean, you'll start to see it kind of ramp up, ramp down. Now you've got those serious peaks and valleys, and you just have that fluctuation. So that's, once again, I'd recommend, and I tell everybody,
have a regulator.
Get yourself a power conditioner. Just make sure, because man, it's a hell of a lot cheaper to burn up a power, a power conditioner than just to toast up a couple of mounts. And
my first. I got my Skywatcher, the EQR6. I got it for Christmas, like, was 3 years ago? 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago. I don't know. They the past couple of years have kind of blended together. But anyway, by June, I had fried the board. And I don't know. I will say it was under warranty. They took beautiful care of me. They ended up just sending me, a whole new, the whole new mount. I mean, probably I tried the board, not really knowing what I couldn't tell you exactly what I did. It was working, and then it wasn't. When this happened, I was so clueless anyway, that they could have told me anything. But so I got a little more careful with my power after that.
Yeah.
So, there's nothing.
One of the other things that's really
there's nothing worse than smelling a capacitor or resistor that's just got toasted.
Yeah. Just get toasted. You don't want to smell that ozone.
Oh, the ozone. That's what it is.
That ozone smell? Yep.
Dude, it's like
smelling that smoke coming out of the box is not a good thing.
Smells like burnt dog hair.
It was like the end of June.
You also want to make doubly sure, on your cable runs, for especially for power. If you're carrying, 100 feet, you better be at least 12 gauge, electrical, for your braided electrical. Your better bet is to make sure that you're running solid copper, out to a receptacle, buried in the ground. That's your best bet.
Right.
Wow. Well, we did have a question that I missed.
Yeah, you did have a question. Yeah, Dennis.
You saw me put it on the screen.
Sure did.
Yeah. So is there a ratio of one-shot color to narrowband picks you need to combine, or do you just do 50-50? Good question.
That's a good question.
I'm kind of curious.
Well, again, we're talking about adding. I think we're talking about adding HA data to the Galaxy data. If that's the case, well, you're going to need longer exposures anyway, just to get the data from HA. You're going to need longer exposures. Right. However, you're going to be getting a lot more of the detail. This is really more for that extra punch. That extra. You need luminance like up the wazoo for galaxies. You know what I mean? So is there an exact ratio? I would have to say no, there isn't.
No, I really don't think so. And I don't necessarily this would be even just for Galaxy season, but if you're combining just one shot color with HA, like say if you're doing in the winter, if you're doing Horsehead,
true,
and and if you want to do something like that. There's no real ratio, I believe, but whatever you feel like as far as how far you want to go with your narrowband, how many images, how much integration time you want to put into it. That's going to be up to you. But I don't really think there's necessarily a real ratio for it.
With HA, and if you're dealing with Galaxy Edition, I would say minimum probably about 5 hours of HA, so you can kind of get that kind of stuff.
Because you want to get those little, that little red or little purple pop, from get those little dots, So
now, would you use like if you had a dual band, or would you just use just an HA filter? I mean, if you could use both.
If you have a straight HA filter, use an HA filter. If you have one, use it.
Yeah.
If you don't, and I'm saying if you have like an NBZ or an L Enhance or an L Extreme, something like that, where then you can extract the HA during your post.
That's what I was going to say. Yep.
Then do that. Something like that.
Any way you could get that information to get that extra pop, just get it, because Eric's
just
right.
Get it.
You could extract it. You could split the channels from a dual band. You could do straight HA, which is a little bit easier. But
don't forget, you can use an HA. You don't with the one-shot color. You can use a straight HA filter.
Yep.
With with a one-shot color.
I could go either one of them.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Oh yeah. Sorry, Pete. Yeah, Pete.
You're missing a point. We need to take into consideration what is the vocal ratio, because once again, we know that there's different transmission bands with narrowband filters. You got 3 nanometers, 5 nanometers, 7, 8, 10, whatever. Once again, as I said, if you've got a vocal ratio, say of an F7 down to an F5.6, then definitely you can consider looking at like a 3 nanometer. You could probably push that down to like an F3.5. Anything faster than a 3.5, you're going to get some very prominent blue halos around the stars. It's because of the band shift. You're getting the band shift into the blue end of the spectrum. So now you need to consider a wider band pass. And so, Eric, you and I are both in agreement. We like the band pass on the NBZ filter for one-shot color.
It's a 10 nanometer.
Exactly. So it gives you that forgiveness. So once again, this really comes into it is people say, well, how long do I push it? And so let's take a look at the filters. Everybody knows that certain, like an example, HA is 656.3 nanometers. O3 is 500.7 nanometers. But what we want to look at is we look at the transmission band curve, right? We look at the curves, looking at how much transmission of that particular band pass wavelength that allows through. But at the same time, let's look at the other end of the curve. How much does it interfere? Because these are basically interference filters, right? They block out everything else but that particular band pass. So if we look at, like, say, the Astrodon filters, the Chroma filters, or we look at, say, the NBZ filters from IDAS, take a look at how much of a percentage of all the other wavelengths that it does not allow to pass through. That's the indication that now you're dealing with a very good quality filter.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's why those Optolongs are so freaking awesome. You know, that they weren't giving any of that at 3 nanometer. They weren't giving any halos. You know, I mean, everybody's seen the video. You know that
Right.
the with Alnitak, right, and the comparison between the filters. You know, those Optolongs were just, they were shining as far as their ability to eliminate those halos. It was freaking awesome.
Yep.
That's why I sold the Antlias.
But that's
the
the
pro
version of the Optolong. Exactly.
Yes.
So once again, that's the coatings, and that's the most important thing is the coatings on these filters.
Yes.
The original Optolongs I wouldn't put up, but the pro versions, yes.
Well,
that's the ones I got.
Yeah, the 7 and the 6.5 from Optolong did have haloing in the O3. I've done the Horsehead with both now. I've done Alnitak with the 7 and the mid bands from Optolong, the 7 and the 6.5. So I've done them with the 3 nanometers, and I've done them with the 3 nanometer and Leah, but the first generation, not the second generation.
Right.
So they were the pros, they were the 3 nanometers, but the Enlia 3 nanometers definitely underperformed the Optolongs. Now, that being said, I don't want to push anybody off from buying Enlias because Enlia just came out with a version 2 of their filters with updated coatings and all that. And that's going to be, you know, I'm waiting on to see some pictures of those to see if they compare to the
didn't they do 2 different types? They've done, you know, the version 2 of the 3s, and they also have the 4.5s out.
The 4.5s. Yep.
Yeah.
See, the reason why we've got such good choices now is that when Don Goldman sold Astrodon to OSI, literally they bastardized the Astrodon filters because they couldn't actually get supply, and I'm not going to go into the story. So now it left the market open. Chroma filled into that market. Once again, we've talked about it. The astronomy market, if we look at the pie, right? The pie, it's only a very narrow field. But boy, there's going to be 1 or 2 or 3 maybe big players in it. So Chroma kind of filled in there. They stepped in and they were supplying the filters. And then we all knew ZWO tried it, but their first, second generation filters just didn't. They just weren't good.
Yeah.
Optolong kind of went through the same thing on their first generation. Now in this pro version generation,
now second generation,
they're coming in now.
They have.
So this is the good thing about competition is that it really brings out the best because there is definitely market share, and if you're good, you'll fill in that niche market.
Yeah. So Hogarth just chimed in about the newer Antlia Pro versions, and he said they're bloody awesome. And
nice.
So
that's great to know.
That's good.
So that's good to know.
You know what? But you know, to your point, Pete, you know, competition, innovation, it drives innovation.
Yeah.
You know, and now we're getting things and we as consumers are reaping the benefits. You know, you know, and every company, every person, you know, you don't hit a, home run or a grand slam right on your, right off the bat all the time.
Nope.
You know, it's a rare thing that can happen. So, you know, you learn from your customers, you learn from your, from customer feedback, you learn from some missteps that you have made. And then if you are really dedicated to customer service and really want to make a name for yourself in the marketplace, you go back to the drawing board, you get your engineers out, your optical engineers together and say, hey, this is where we made some mistakes and stuff like that. And you go back and you try again. And so far, I think with, to everybody's point, version 2 of Optolongs and Antlias doing pretty good.
Yeah. So
Chromas,
just to chime in here,
Yeah.
And with the innovation and everything, with the competition, people companies get things correct quicker.
Yes.
And when they start to find out that, oh wow, Optolong just put out these filters and they don't have any halos, but ours do. Well, let's get another coating out and let's do something. Let's fix it quicker. Literally within like 3 or 4 months, and Leah started coming out with their new versions, and so that also helps the competition of it's kind of like who's the biggest boy on the block, who's the biggest kid on the block, and who's gonna get the first one that does better than the next one and all that, and it's like a leapfrogging event. and it's pretty cool to do because it just helps us out as astrophotographers.
It's also very important to to get an idea as to the technology, the manufacturing, and the science behind these filters and these, especially the coatings that are going on them. People complain about the cost of these filters. They have no clue as to the dedicated science that is behind these things and the manufacturing processes and the clean rooms and all the stuff that's behind that. It is, I mean, it's some of the finest optics in the world.
It's funny when you start looking at putting together a system for $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, even like $200,000 for a 1 meter plane wave. And then all of a sudden you get the customer saying, well, I'm going to have to kind of cut costs. I'm saying, well, wait a minute. It's like buying a Ferrari that you only want to drive now at 60 miles an hour. You've already spent all this money, close to almost 5-6 figures. Why do you want to go cheap now on filters?
Cheap on filters.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's absolutely crazy.
It's just crazy.
Yeah,
but as you said, it's interesting is that this is a very small hobby. It's a very small industry. And so a lot of these customers, a lot of these companies, the OEMs, they literally can step up to be a big frog in a small pond because, it is a small pond in terms of what the market share is. And Dan, you and I have talked about this. There's not really one company that does good on everything.
Nope.
Companies are very good at certain things that they do, and yet they do have weaknesses in another product line. But what we do as a person that puts together assemblies, we can pick and choose the best products from each of these OEMs, and then finally put together a great system. And that's the beauty about where we're at right now. This is the golden age for our hobby now. Fast optics, camera, CMOS technology now is just incredible. The only thing that I'm going to wish, and I pray, but I know it's never going to happen, I wish we could get some kind of a standardization between all the companies.
Yeah,
so
good luck. Good luck with that.
That brings up, the conversation, that we had, with, I believe, was it with the gentleman from who developed Alpaca,
Bob
Denny.
Bob,
Bob
thank
Denny.
you. Bob Denny. I was gonna say Denny Bob or Bob. I was gonna butcher your name, but so apologies. But but that's the whole thing. Getting standards. Really pushing, and that's one of the things we really gotta, push for in, as consumers, to his point, was we really gotta push for, getting everybody on the same page and getting, and standardizing on a lot of this type of stuff.
Yeah, but to be the realism here, and it's highly unlikely that's going to happen. Everybody wants to be the biggest person in the pond, and they're gonna change that dovetail hole 1 millimeter so you can't fit this ring to that dovetail, or I can't use this focuser to the back of that one, so I'm gonna have to buy a flange from this guy. It's always gonna be something. To be realistic about it, it's really I wish for it. I want it to happen, but I think it's a pipe dream. I don't think it's gonna happen. And it's unfortunate, Dan, but go ahead, Pete. Sorry,
Dan, you're going through that right now with the Howie Glader, right?
Oh my God,
the thread pitch.
So,
and that's the same manufacturer.
It's not the thread pitch; it's the thread size.
No, yeah, it was just a coarse and fine. It's the same thread. It's just a coarse, and it's not the amount of TPI. Pitch. So it's a finer. It's a coarser thread. I'm sorry, and basically what Starlight Instruments did. So for those of you that don't know the background or who Howie Glader is, Howie Glader was like the premier collimator maker. If you had a good collimator, it was a Howie Glader, and that was the standard. He sat there, and I met Howie Glader a bunch of times. Pete, I know you've met him a ton of times, and
phenomenal man.
This guy, he worked out of this little apartment. I've been to his apartment. It's this little apartment, and he's got stuff all over the place, machine and drill presses and laser mark. He's got everything. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking at it, and basically what he did was he tuned each laser himself manually to get to be the brightness that he wanted and to get to the straightness that he wanted. He was one of the first ones to think about, well, what happens if I drop it?
Yep.
He would do drop tests. I've seen him do it. He would do drop tests on his 2-inch collimator lasers and see if it stayed collimated, see if the laser stayed collimated. Because and if it didn't, well, okay, how am I going to combat that? He was the first one to think about putting those set screws. He had 6 set screws on the side to move in case that laser got tilted anyway, so you could fix that. But whatever the case may be, so Howie Glatter was the collimating master, and unfortunately, a couple years back, Howie passed away. And Starlight Instruments started to take over the Howie Glatter business, and they've been doing a really good job with it. The collimators are really good, but they changed a couple of things. Now I have an old, like an original Howie Glatter 2-inch barrel. Pete, you could show it. You have it. You know, mine's in my closet somewhere because I don't do visual anymore, so it's just in there. But it's a 2-inch barrel. And it's big, you know, it's big, solid stainless steel, and Pete's going to show it right now. But here you go. So that's the original 2-inch. The newer ones are hybrids, where you got a 1 1/4 and a 2-inch. And if you could see that little white piece in the front, mine doesn't even have the push button. So Pete's has a little bit of the newer one. Mine doesn't have a push button. It's just like a screw-on cap for the battery. But so that white piece that Pete's screwing off now is a concentric circle hologram. And what you need that for is to a little bit higher. There you go.
Yep, there you go.
So that screws on to the collimator. And what Starlight Instruments did was they changed the thread of the tool to a different size thread, so it doesn't fit the older collimators. Now it fits his. He's got a little bit of a newer one than I do, but mine, my thread is smaller, so it doesn't fit. So I'm trying to collimate something. I'm trying to collimate a Ritchie, and I had this concentric, but I couldn't fit it on. So somehow, some way, I got it attached to a far point collimator, and I'm using that. But you know, that just all goes back to the conversation of standardizing equipment, especially within the same realm. I mean, you know, if it's a Howie Glatter, it should be the same thread. If it's a Los Mondi, it should be the same hole. If it's a Prima Luce, it should be the same hole. You know, all that kind of stuff. But when you have two of the same things that from the same company, they should fit all the time, and this one didn't.
They should.
So
Absolutely should.
So,
you know, and the biggest thing right now is that we put together systems from Europe, Italy, metric.
Yeah,
we're here, Los Mandy dovetails. You know, 1/4-20. All of a sudden,
Yep.
oh, shoot, it's got to be M6. It's a whole different thread, and as like Dan had said, the hole spacing is just off by a friggin' millimeter.
You can't bend these things.
I know. And you're sitting there, just it drives you nuts because you're so used to just working on one, is it what Imperial threads? But now we got metric threads.
Yep. You know, and that's why we talk about this quite a bit on the show too, where, you know, if you're gonna deal, especially with rings and dovetails and stuff like that, for those of you that have been watching the show for a while, you've seen my Frankenstein setup where I had a William Optics dovetail, I had Stellaview standoffs, I had Prima Luce spacers, I had Prima Luce, and they were put together with like computer bolts and nuts because I couldn't get anything to fit. And do yourself a favor, if you're gonna build a rig, at least for the dovetail and the rings, get the same distributor. It'll fit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't mix and match with that. And I know it's easy to do if you got a closet of death like I do. Oh, I got this piece. I can make it work. No, you know what? spend the extra bucks, just get it. You could sell it later, put it on cloudy nights, whatever. Just it'll save you a lot of hassle and frustration by doing that.
Yep.
I went into the when I was putting the risers on the 70 millimeter,
Sure.
went down to Ace Hardware, I guess maybe a month ago, and I was looking for an M6. You know, I think it was I have it written down. So I don't have to look for it again, but I don't remember. I think it was 90 millimeters, and trying to find, and I just by sheer luck, and it didn't have the socket head. It just had I think Phillips, but you know what? It'll work, and I mean, because it's gonna be hidden anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And it fit where it was, but and I walked in there and I was like, yeah, I need M6 with a 75 millimeter, the thread, and 90 millimeters. The guy looks at me and he goes, that's metric, right? I'm like, yes. So okay, so yeah, so that kind of. Any of you ladies out there will probably, understand where I am. But the guy looked at me and he goes, "Are you sure?" Like,
Chop chop.
So, and honestly, I'd had my husband pull out his, because I really didn't know what I was dealing with. I was like, okay, I need you to tell me what this is, because I know he's got the little things that you screw him into and find out. So we knew what it was. So but when I went in, I'm like, and he's like, well, we use imperial here. This is metric. I'm like, yeah, my telescope was made outside the country. Oh, okay. But I ended up finding one, but it was just by sheer luck. And he's like, I can't find it. He couldn't find what I was looking for, but I just started, pulling out all the little drawers until I found something that worked. But yeah, it would have been a lot easier if I had just stuck with, something that will fit the need, because it was a challenge.
And it always is when you do that, when you kind of try and make things work. And you know what? Some people can make it work. Some people, I can't. I just screw things up. But it's like you gotta kind of keep things the same. And I'm not saying you have to buy all ZWO. I'm not saying you have to buy all Prima Luce or GSO or Explore Scientific or whatever. You don't have to buy anything like that. You can mix and match. But when you're dealing with certain things, like the infrastructure of your rig, your dovetails, your rings, those types of things need to be standardized. And what I mean by that, it needs to be purchased from the same distributor. And if you don't, make doubly sure that your whole patterns match up, or else you are going to be in a world of hurt.
And Dan, that leads us into, people say, well, what kind of tool should I get? I mean, once again, this is kind of something we're talking about prep work, right? The 7 Ps, prior, proper, prevention, prevents piss poor performance. We all know that we should have 2 sets of hex Allen wrenches, right? We got to have imperial, we got to have metric. You always got to have a baggie of 1/4-20 hex screws and metric hex screws. And the cheapest thing that I can say that will save your butt in the long run, and I know, Eric, you and I have talked about this, but it's having a micrometer when you need to do back focus.
I was grabbing mine. I knew where you were going.
And you have a digital caliper.
You must have.
Absolutely.
You must.
This is a must have. And it took me 20 years to figure out that I actually needed this. I was sitting there with a metal ruler for the longest time. There you go. Get this.
There you go.
Get this. It's worth it. It's worth every penny.
See,
absolutely.
Make sure you turn it off.
That we should discuss, because, like Eric, you brought up a good point about computers, right? And what you should do with computers, and what kind of processor you should get, and how much RAM.
Exactly.
You're going to definitely be involved in maintenance in this. You're going to be collimating. You're going to be putting in dovetails, rings. So we should really discuss what are some of the tools that you've got that we find that we can provide to our viewer memberships that we can recommend to them.
Right. Go for it.
Go cheap.
Oh no.
Don't go cheap.
Yeah.
You buy cheap tools, you are just asking for headaches.
You are. Again, you know what? You're spending all of this money, on this hobby, to get really cool, to get filters, to get these cameras, to get these scopes. Don't go half-seas or don't go cheap on the other things to maintain them, because you're spending all of this money. Make the investment to make sure that it's going to last you, a lifetime, or if you want, or if you're able to, and if you have family who are interested, you can pass it down to them, something like that. So, definitely calipers, a good digital caliper is a must.
Yeah.
It is a must.
And it's not an expensive tool.
And it's not inexpensive.
$30. You'll get a really good one. You know what I mean? It's not. Yeah, and Dank also spanner wrench. That's one of the things. Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, the other thing, yeah, exactly right, Pete.
Good.
Delrin rings.
Yeah.
Delrin rings, man, are a lifesaver. I mean,
well, the other thing that is, it's you can tell the difference in different tools. That if you get things that are made with tool steel, you're never going to have to replace the tools. If it's tool steel, it's super hard. You're never going to have to replace it. I've got tools. I literally have tools in my shop that belong to my great grandfather, and they are some of the finest hand tools I've ever used. The steel in them is like butter. It's smooth. It's hard as diamonds. I mean, it's just they don't make tools like that anymore. You gotta have good tools.
There you go, man. Our strap wrench.
Yeah, strap wrench, vitally important.
Yeah.
Every house. I'm sorry, but if you live in a house and you don't have a set of strap wrenches, you're screwing yourself.
Literally.
Another thing I would recommend. Another thing I would recommend, and this is for if I have them here. Hold on.
I'm sorry if I'm over here making faces. I'm still watching trees. I'm like looking at my PhD too, because I can see my screen better.
You can share your screen if you want.
Yeah.
I'll give you guys a little bit of astro trauma here. Like this is what I'm dealing with, just trying to get bodes. So I do that.
If you guys can see these are really inexpensive.
Hold on.
Little filter wrenches.
Yeah.
Oh,
yep.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times. Times that I've gotten, I mistakenly misthread something, or because of weather or whatever. I'm outside, and I'm having the hardest time on loosening things. Loosening a filter or a spacer or whatever. Spanner wrenches, strap wrenches, but you also have something like these are relatively expensive.
Absolutely, those are cheap. I was just going to switch over.
These are super cheap.
Oh, okay.
These are super cheap.
So Jess is doing some imaging right now, and I would love to show everybody what she's imaging.
Oh, the trees!
So, there you go.
This is
that's for guiding. That's PhD.
Yeah, because like you can see bodes like a little bit right here.
Yep, I can see it in the middle.
I'm never gonna be able to get any kind of focus or anything in until it's just skirting the tip top of the trees right now.
All right.
So yeah, this is my life. So if y'all are seeing me making some crazy faces over at the screen, that's what I got going on right now.
That's okay.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, and I just gotta say something that you don't. What's the music?
I don't know. What are you doing?
Trees playing Rush. So something that you never, ever, ever want to come close to your telescope with, ever, never.
No.
Don't use this with your telescope. Don't do it, especially with the filter wheel or your ring on your Schmidt.
Why would you do that?
There are people out there that have done it. I know.
They've done it. Yeah.
Just
again, like even like Scott back it was a couple weeks ago. You put out, there's nylon screwdrivers.
Yeah, those are awesome. I bought those.
Tip screwdriver.
I bought those. They're great.
Yeah.
Well, you see, here's the thing. I've been into as a handyman for years. I mean, I cut my teeth in the trades. I started off as a framer and a home builder, and I eventually went into trim and then into cabinets and furniture and so on and so forth. But I've always enjoyed tinkering in the shop. And there's something about knowing how to manipulate machinery, how to properly thread things. Eric, you mentioned it about cross-threading things. It is amazing to me how many people don't learn how to properly thread things, or they over-tighten things. In anything we're doing in this hobby, you do not need to put torque into it. Okay, finger tight is plenty, but it's even in how you thread things. There's a trick in learning how to thread correctly. When you back off and you get that first click, to start a thread, that's a good trick. The other thing you can do is, if you've got a very wide thread, like on a filter, just as you're threading it, just rock it a little bit. Just give it a little bit of a rock, and that will help to seat it correctly so that you don't cross-thread it. Just give it just a little bit of a rock, because here's the thing. My brother's a machinist, okay? So we've had this conversation many, many times. Some of the screws and bolts and things, especially bolts, machine bolts that you can get from the box stores, they're not necessarily a perfect fit. Even though they're the right diameter, they're the right threads per inch, that the actual pitch on the threads themselves aren't an exact match. So, and there are grades, especially in machining, there are grades of how those threads line up in their respective receptacles, how they line up. And the closer you get to perfection, the more money it costs.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
But, so just giving just a little bit of a wiggle, as you're threading in, can help a great deal.
Yeah.
And my God, absolutely, don't use torque wrenches. Don't use freaking drills on. Yeah, you're just asking for trouble. Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that.
You bring up a good story that I ran into, because we all know aluminum is a soft metal, right?
Pete.
I like stainless steel. I always like stainless steel. All my fasteners are stainless steel. Stainless steel and a soft aluminum, man. If you cross thread, you're screwed. Yeah. So sure enough, I'm cross threading. I'm torquing down. All of a sudden, I'm going, holy shit, man! Excuse. I go, something's not right. Sure enough, now I got to run out. I got to get a tap. I got to get a die. And I'm thinking, oh boy. So that's another thing. Besides Dremel, you might want to get yourself a 1/4-20 tap and die set, right?
Pete, I'm gonna ask you. I'm gonna ask you one question, Pete. Is it safe, Pete? Is it safe?
Oh God!
Yeah, you're always going to run into a problem.
So
you're always going to run into a problem using hard metals and soft metals.
Yeah.
Agreed. Threading stainless steel screws into aluminum blocks, it is so easy to screw that up. Do yourself a favor, put a drop of just household 3-in-1 oil on those threads before you put them in there.
Yeah.
And very, very carefully start them, because Peter is so right. You can cross thread those things that fast. Mm-hmm. It's so easy to do.
And just don't
and as far as the tap and die set, don't assume that you know what the hell you're doing with a tap and die set right away. Watch some YouTube videos on it. And for God's sake, don't do it without oil. Make sure you've got cutting oil.
Just call Dan. Dan's got everything in the crib.
In the closet of Dad?
No, these are real tools. These don't go in the closet of death. But and Scott's exactly right. I know you can't see me. I know you can hear me. But you know what? there are so many things that you're gonna, as you grow with this lifestyle of astrophotography, you are going to realize that you're gonna have tools like you never thought that you would ever have in your house for any reason whatsoever. Why would I have this in my house if I wasn't like a mechanic? You wouldn't. But you need this for astrophotography. You're going to need them. God forbid, you get a couple of round things that are stuck together. You just want to and crack them, and that's the way to do it. Or if you got something small, like what Eric had, the little pinchy,
the little pinch filter wrenches.
Those have saved
something like that.
So many filters for me, and I can't tell you how many times people come in with filters into the shop that are all scraped on the sides. They're all scraped like they were gouged. And what do they do? They do exactly what somebody said in the chat. Somebody said in the chat, they took a pair of vice grips and they tried to move the thing, and they scratched the whole thing up. And that's you don't want to
another thing.
You don't want to do tools, power tools. You don't want to do anything that clamps down and gouges it. You're dealing with glass and and like Scott said, like soft metals.
Optics.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. What is that? A rubber band?
If you don't know, a rubber band.
Oh,
you can use even a simple rubber band.
Yeah.
Sometimes to help get grip, to loosen, and that little extra oomph to help loosen up if those tight fittings if you've over tightened. And to Scott's point, you don't have to over tighten. Just
take
as soon as you hit it,
the other thing,
it goes ding. As soon as you got that nice screw, boop, as soon as soon as that one turn, bam, you're done. You don't need to do anymore.
And you know what?
Because trust me, when it gets cold out there, it's gonna tighten up on its own.
Eric, is to take a nice large, just regular nylon zip tie and work that around that on that rubber band. If you still can't get a good enough grip, tighten that on there, and then the stop end on that zip tie will provide a spot for your thumb. And just give you that little extra.
Just give it a turn.
And don't forget also to kind of, if you really have an issue with it, if you have like a couple of like extension tubes that are just stuck together, you just tightened them, throw them in the freezer for an hour. Easy thing. This is a simple hack. What happens to metal when it freezes?
Yep.
It contracts. And you're going to be able to get it off easier, maybe, if you have enough to grip on. But I mean, that's just another household hack.
I know.
People are thinking when I go to Walmart, those like just little rubber things that they use for taking the jar lids off.
Yep.
And it's been on my Walmart. I just haven't gotten to Walmart in a couple months, but I imagine they'd have them. I mean, just enough to get a grip, especially for the little tiny, the little tiny ones. The last ones.
It's almost like those are almost like those. That's almost like a little strap wrench.
It is.
Those are almost like
it's a rubber wrench.
Just enough to the last ones that I got stuck. I think it was a 3 millimeter and a 5, so they were tiny. And I did, Eric, end up getting some of those little filter wrenches like you had as well, which worked. But I was fortunate but just trying to get them on like the little 3 millimeter, that was tough. I mean, because it's so tiny. I was like, and I don't know if it works. I'll report back if and when I get them and if I ever need them. But just it would seem like if you were to use those and just kind of hold them between your hands almost, where you can't really get a grip on those little tiny extensions, if that makes sense.
Pete, go. You've been dying to say something, Pete.
Yeah,
go.
Go for it, man. Go for it.
I've been working on this TOA 130, right? So what we're doing is I'm taking off the stock Takahashi focuser and I'm putting on the Starlight Express focuser. So I get the strap wrench and I'm pulling on it. I'm thinking, damn, this sucker is hard. So here's some other information. Before you do anything, take the time, look through, make sure you inspect it. I couldn't believe it. There was an M1 set screw that was tightened down into it. I had to pull it out. As soon as I pulled it out, a grub screw. I can go ahead. I could just pull out the stock focuser. But I mean, you're sitting there and you're thinking,
Yeah.
okay, well, God darn it, I'm going to just torque it down, and then that's right. So if it
Talk
doesn't
about
move on that
regrooving
first,
something. Good God.
exactly. So I mean, as I said, if it doesn't move on that first little, don't push it. Just
Don't force it.
You probably got a hub screw in there somewhere.
Then you're gonna have to get that cut, that die set, and you're gonna have to kind of redo it, and then you're in. If you've never done it, it's not easy. I mean, it's not an easy thing. It's nerve-wracking. You may even screw it up even more than what it's already screwed. Tap and die. They're both just as bad.
In aluminum, tapping is relatively simple because it's
Well,
nice
you're dealing
and soft.
with the soft metal.
But if you're trying to tap stainless steel, you have to use cutting oil. You can't. Don't try to do it. You'll break that tap. You'll break it. And if you start it in slow, right? And you cut and then back out, blow it out, add a little more oil, cut, turn, back it out, and work that in. And eventually it'll spin.
Yep.
And when you get that good spin, blow it out, add a little bit more oil and bring it back out, and then throw your bolt in. But I mean, don't try. If you've never used a tap or die set before, don't do it without doing some research, because you can really wind up in the soup quick.
Actually, Dank Solo, Dan K. I keep on saying Dank Solo because that's actually his name, Dan K, and Dan K Solo. But that's not his real name. But how about polar aligning? How tight do you go with the bolts? Do you wrench them tight together, or do you just hand tighten them?
No, they do not need to be wrenched. God, jeez.
Easy, Scott. Easy.
You do not need to over tighten this stuff. You are going to wind up costing yourself thousands of dollars. Don't do it.
Just hand tighten to get to the point. You're a little just your own, standard amount of hand torque.
The nylon tools, right? The nylon. If you try to over tighten, you're going to strip that nylon bolt, that nylon tip. Yeah.
Right.
So the thing to do with those bolts is put a small dot of blue thread lock on them.
What? Why? On your polar alignment screws?
So they won't move.
On your polar alignment screws?
Sure.
I don't know if I'd do that.
The blue, not the red.
I don't know if I put any Loctite on them. I don't know. That's just me. I'd be too nervous because I take my scope down every night. So I don't know if I would do that because.
Let me ask you a question.
That blue thread locker is going to allow you to move it.
Oh yeah. It's not the red. The red is the industrial. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Yeah, red's industrial. You don't want that.
Yeah.
But here, I'm going to throw something out at you. You know, because I've been thinking about this with my Schmitz. Because of, it doesn't happen often with the Bob's knobs. And we've talked about this in the past. What do you guys think? Should I go back to my original collimation screws and use a little bit of Loctite, recollimate it, using a little bit of drop a little bit of Loctite, blue Loctite, put those back in there and recollimate it? And are we thinking that may help me keep my collimation longer versus dealing with the Bob's knobs, because they do tend to loosen.
The Bob's knobs,
exactly what I would do, Eric. What do you think, Pete?
Yeah, what do you think, Pete?
I mean, seriously, honestly, I've heard both sides of the story here. It's 6 of one, half does the other. I mean, I've heard pros and cons for each of them. I mean, I really don't know what the answer is. I mean, I've heard people say, just go back to the original. I've heard people swear by the Bob knobs. They just love them. I mean, I don't know what the answer is. It's just a matter, Eric. I mean, if they have a tendency to loosen up and it's a problem for you, then I would definitely say, go back to what you're familiar with. But other people, they swear by them. They just say, once I get them cinched in, they're there.
But because it just seems that I'm spending a lot more time collimating with this Schmidt than I think I really should be, because of the Bob's knobs. I think I tend to, because I check all the time when I'm using these Schmitz. I check all the time, just with my tri-batten off to see how well, and it just tends to show up that almost not every time, but maybe like every other time, I've got to recollimate again.
I would love to see if you actually have a difference by going back to the actually original screws, or maybe it's something else, because I'm one of the guys with the Bob. I love Bob's knobs. I haven't done Schmidt's in a long time. I you know, now that I've purchased the little nylon tip screws that Scott showed us on the show, and I purchased them. I may not go with the Bob's knobs, because why bother? Because the original reason was to have that, you know, not only a thumb screw, but you don't have to use a screwdriver and smash your
right.
primary
And that was one of the
lens.
reasons why I was thinking about going back and maybe grabbing, you know, a set of the ceramic.
Yeah.
You
So I mean,
right.
You know what? Like Pete says, it's a really what works for you kind of question.
Right.
You know, if I've always used Bob's knobs, I've never had a problem with Bob's knobs. However, you know, just to tip off on that is that I haven't imaged with a Schmidt in 15 years. So, you know, things may have changed, but I'll tell you, as far as visual with a newt, Bob's knobs are the way to go. You know, with a Dob visual, Bob's knobs are the way to go, because you know what? It makes it easier. Because if you drop your screwdriver, I don't care, nylon tipped or not, from 4 feet high, because you're at the top of a secondary on a 4-foot Dob, that may create a problem. I don't care, nylon tipped or not. That plastic on it, you know, something's going to happen. But Bob's knobs help. Now, I've heard the same thing from, like Pete has, that Bob's knobs move the mirror. Bob's knobs are great. Bob's knobs to do this, they loosen up. They're nylon. They stink. You need metal. You know, bottom line is, if your images are good and you're getting good results, if it's not broke, don't fix it. That's my outlook on it.
Right.
Well, I mean, you know, one of the big reasons, I think the biggest reason why blue thread locker is even a thing is because of the inaccurate mating between the bolt and the nut, if you will, or the plate. That you know, if you've got a bolt that fits with a machinist precision in there, you're not going to get blue thread locker in there because it's a perfect fit. Right. So the reason that thread locker is there is because of the slop, the backlash, if you will, the slop between the threads. That's why it's there. So if you've got that in there to fill those gaps, then it's going to minimize any movement between those two pieces of metal, the bolt and the plate.
Yeah, I could just see. I got a thing with thread locker and mirrors and stuff like that. It gives me the willies. I don't know.
I'm not talking about a lot, Daniel. I'm talking about a dot.
Yeah, but I think we need to think a little bit about our audience as well, because you know, we need to say that. I mean, this is literally like an eyedropper kind of thing. Yeah. One little drop, because I could see somebody just pouring this stuff in there and dripping. You know, I can see it happening. You know, we got to think worst case scenario here of the information that we're giving out. We got to be very, very specific. So I just have a thing with like anything like glues or something like that when it has to do with something that I may have to change readily, just like collimation grub screws or, you know, anything like that. It's just a personal thing with me. Somebody else like yourself may swear by it. I just have like a thing like I don't know if I'd want to do that. And that's
you know, and for those like yourself, Daniel, that are squeamish about that, if you're worried about the liquid aspect of it, what you can do, I mean, it'd take a little more time to do this, but what you could do is you could pull one bolt out, put a dot on there, and then take a heat gun and just dry it.
Now we're using heat guns with mirrors. Oh my God, I'm having nightmares.
No. Not on the mirror, just on the bolt.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Just try it. I mean, if you've ever bought any pieces of equipment that come with those little screws and they've got the thread locker already on them, the thread locker's dry.
Correct.
Right? So if you're worried about it dripping, first of all, if it's dripping, you're using way too much. Okay. We're talking about a small little dot here, right? But if you're worried about it, just simply hit it with a heat gun. Right.
Man, what don't you have there?
What really, man? Really, dude.
See,
Okay,
if our long-time watchers have been watching, I've been actually walking to the right, as opposed to my closet of death on the left. So these are things that I actually use. But go ahead, Pete.
There's one other item that I'm going to suggest that everybody should get at least 2 or 3. It's the Primalucci or the Losmandi clamps, the DVA clamps, which are the dovetail D-style or Vixen style clamps. You can put scope rings, you can do everything with those. Believe me, those clamps will come in handy for everything. So have at least 2 to 3 of those hanging around because you'll use them.
Yeah, because those AMD, those clamps, heck, I've got them even with where I bought them with handles. So I can be able to, and put them on my top rail of my Schmidt and my Rasa to help me move around, and help me mount my Schmitts. So they're great.
Well, one of my favorite astrophotographers that I love to watch is, of course, Amy. Amy gives me hope. To watch her, struggle with setups and getting things exactly right. I mean, I watched her one video where she literally took, one of her mounts and one of her dovetail plates. She took it down into her husband's shop and she was using her drill press to reposition her holes.
Yep.
And I mean, here's this, this cute little blonde astrophotographer that's down in the machine shop drilling holes. I'm like, this is cool as hell. So I mean, there's nothing wrong with messing around. Just make sure. It's like my grandfather used to always say, make sure you're right, then go ahead.
Yep.
Well, what is it? Measure twice and cut once.
Cut once.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah, I've never done that.
Measure twice and cut once.
I just grab the blowtorch and just let's go.
As everybody can see now, these are the things that you're going to end up having to accumulate when you get into this hobby.
Yeah,
You'll accumulate this over time.
What do I need? What do I need a heat gun for? What do I need this for?
Nearby.
I don't need
this.
This
is what I was not quite prepared for. A lot of this.
What all the tools and everything? Yeah.
I'm not. I don't have any problem learning how to use them. I just didn't realize I was going to spend so much time learning how to do other things before I could take good pictures. And
a lot of this stuff, Jess, is maintenance. A lot of it's maintenance. Because you want to take care of this stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and I have no problem, but it was not expected. When I go, if I look at all the time that I spend doing astrophotography, probably just a small fraction of it is actually taking the pictures, and then another fraction of it is doing the processing, and then the rest is troubleshooting and trying to make this work and trying to figure out what adapters do I need and what tool do I need to fix this, and what and just spending hours on the internet trying to find what the little doohickey is called, because you don't even know what the name of it is. And
what do we call them? Doohickeys and thingamajigs, and what else? Doohickeys, thingamajigs. What's my call it?
Well, I didn't even know when I get the risers.
Yeah, right, Daniel.
I didn't even know what they call the risers. When I got them, I was like, something to make my telescope stand up. And I mean,
the risers.
As silly as it seems, I just didn't know that that's what the name of it was. Like, oh, it's a riser. Okay, that makes sense. And here I've been trying to Google, something to put, in between this plate and the, just anything I could think of until I got, some kind of a hit. I'm like, that's it. That's what I'm looking for. Now I have a name for it. So
yeah.
When I first got the wheelie bar, right? From Farpoint, right? They sent me that wheelie bar, and for those that don't know about that wheelie bar, it has these huge 5/8 inch leveling bolts that are about that long, you know, and they're monsters, right? And inside on each of the legs of those things is a stainless steel block that is threaded that accepts that bolt, that huge long bolt down in there, so you can level your thing, right? Well, when I got it, guess what? One of those blocks wasn't threaded. It wasn't tapped. Now, here I could have set the whole thing back and taken, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, whatever, for them to figure it out and send me the right one. Or I could just have simply gone down into my shop, open up my tap kit, put the thing in the vise and tap it out. And that's exactly what I did, and it took me all of 30 minutes versus having to send it all the way back to California.
And that kind of stuff happens all the time, man.
It sure does.
It really does. And you know what?
I'm learning all sorts of new hobbies along the way.
Yeah. Yep. And you'll continue to learn more.
Mm-hmm.
We all
Jess,
will.
You will.
Jess and Dan, you can attest to this. Imagine being in our shoes where somebody has just got this and they're new into the hobby and they don't know the actual name of the certain parts. And they go, well, that thingamajig. And I'm going, no, sir, I don't know what the thingamajig is. You've got to be more specific. What are we talking about? Well, that thing that just sits there is that little doohickey that I kind of tighten up on. I'm going, no, I have no clue. Are you talking about the saddle? I mean, the one thing I've got to say is that if you're getting into this hobby, know the nomenclature of the component parts. Because when you got to call, you got to get some information. You got to know that the guy you're talking to doesn't know what the hell a doohickey is. Or at the very
least, know what it does. Know what it does. The thing that does that thing that you put on the top. You can't. What are you talking? Beer cap? What? I mean,
it's like you're talking to a mafia lieutenant. I'm going to see a guy about a thing.
Yeah. Remember that guy that we went to the place that time? We saw that thing with those people.
We did the thing. The guy with the thing.
Bada bing. Anyway,
you kind of help the customer, and he's getting frustrated, and you're going to say, "Can you imagine, sir? I got to know what you're talking about because I have no clue."
Yeah.
Are we talking about the saddle plate? Are we talking about the mount? Are we talking about the dovetail plate? You got to know the nomenclature of the item that you're going to be discussing.
Yeah, I mean, you and I deal with this all the time, Pete. When we're dealing with customers trying to build whether a $2,000 rig or less or a $200,000 rig, we deal with the same thing. And half the time, the people that are spending, I have had conversations of dealing with people that are building rigs, like 6-figure rigs, and not a clue. And and just for an example, there was a situation regarding periodic error, and this gentleman or this lady was really, really narrow, kind of about just a periodic error. Oh, it's too big. It's too big. It's too big. It's too much. It's too much. I said, well, what do you want to do? What do you? Yeah, well, I want to guide and take 10-minute exposures. Okay. Well, what telescope do you have? I'm expecting to hear like a 1 meter telescope or something like that. Talking about a 127, and so they're sitting there and they're talking about certain mounts and stuff like that, and they're still really, really stuck on this periodic error number. And the person ended up purchasing the mount with the largest periodic error of any mount that I've ever seen. And Rainbow Mount, even though it's an awesome mount, has a really high periodic error, which means stars drift at a faster rate because of the way the telescope is machined. I'm sorry, not the telescope, but the mount is machined.
The mount.
And And the whole thing is that, because we're able to hold a lot of payload on those mounts, and the design of a harmonic mount does have a relatively high periodic error. Even though it has a high periodic error, it can be corrected. We could do
be
things.
trained out.
You could program it. You could do PPEC. You could do a whole bunch of stuff to take care of it. Yes, an Avalon has like a 3 periodic error or 2.5 or whatever it is. Yes, the harmonic mounts have about 30. So that being said, you're going to be able to guide for 10 minutes on a 127 on that mount without even blinking,
Right.
but the whole thing is that you got to kind of realize when you're doing research on purchasing a large item, like a high ticket item, I think it's a good idea to actually do your due diligence and talk to the people that have those equipment. Have that equipment. Scott has a rainbow. I went to Scott, and I went to Pete, who sold Scott the rainbow mount, because I wanted to get more information. If I wanted some ZWO information, I'd go to Eric. If I wanted to learn how to build my own Raspberry Pi, I'd go to Jesse. But seriously, we all have our own things that we contribute to this, and we all help each other out. So do yourself a favor. When you're sitting there and want to purchase them, do your due diligence, talk to the people that know what they're talking about certain equipment. If they have it, if they've done it, if they've taken pictures, if it does well, you'll be fine.
Dan, that brings up a good point, because what I always tell everybody is I'll give them information, and I'm going to say, sir, whoever you use, ask them to send you photographs. Ask them to show you samples of their work, because if they can't, then you're just dealing with a salesperson that's just going to sell you anything. He doesn't know what you're getting yourself into. Whereas with somebody who actually is working with you and is an actual astrophotographer, he's going to know what you're getting yourself into, and he's going to guide you through the pitfalls that he's already learned. And that is so true. There's so many people out there that are very good, but you got to do your due diligence. And this is kind of a message for the newbies out there, that if you're getting into this hobby from visual to astrophotographer, whoever you're going to use, make sure you ask them to send you some samples of their work so you can see that they actually are doing what you're getting yourself into.
That's right.
Whew. Man, I was on a banter for a minute.
You're on there. You're on your soapbox for a while, for a minute.
That happens.
Well,
yeah, it does. So I did see. I'm gonna order, because I don't know if I have my collimation screws. I know you set up the bob knobs for me there, Dan.
Yep.
I don't know if I have the collimation screws there in the box, but I did find some butterfly nuts.
Well, I did. What I do when I set them up, I always take the original screws and I put them in the Bob's knob, yellow packet, the little manila envelope thing, and I put it back in there. So you have the screws.
Okay, it's in there somewhere.
Yeah, it's in there. So
in the box there.
I never throw them out. I never not return them, because you know what? It's your stuff, so you get it back.
Is that true?
What am I going to do with
I found on Amazon. Yeah, so I found on Amazon some butterfly, some stainless steel butterfly nuts. So because those would be just as good, because they're you just twist them and loosen them or whatever, makes it nice and easy. So
yeah,
I'll give those $6. Give it a shot.
Yeah, absolutely.
What else we got? Getting any questions here?
We got giveaways to do. We got giveaways.
Oh yeah, go for it. We had a couple.
We got 2 giveaways, and so tonight we're giving away another. Like we're doing pretty much every Friday till the end of the year. So if you're new to the channel, thank you for coming down and hanging out. But we pretty much every Friday, with the exception of a couple that are sprinkled throughout the year, so we could go to the end of the year. We are going to be giving away a Masters of Pixinsight free workshop. And the next free workshop is working with narrowband data. So, that's going to be really cool. They're doing it from a one-shot color and mono aspect. So we're going to take a look at that. And also, we're going to be giving away, and I got to say thank you to Andras, our prior winner on Wednesday night, decided to donate his $50 Camera Concepts gift certificate back to the group. So we're going to be delivering that back to the group again tonight. So we got 2 giveaways tonight. Let me load it on up. And what do you want to do first?
Camera concepts.
Camera Concepts. Okay, let's get the Camera Concepts up.
Go ahead.
And where is it? There it is. Mars Cam giveaway. And I still have this. Actually, give me 1 second. Actually, give me 1 second. I just want to update the wheel. Last time somebody joined and I didn't get them, so I want to make sure I get them right now. So give me
Pete,
1
it
second.
looked like you had something you were going to show.
Yeah. Did you have something you wanted to share, Pete?
Peter?
Nothing. Oh, I was just talking about parfocal rings. Believe me, these parfocal rings are another thing that they're inexpensive. If you use them for like guide cameras, and if you got say 2 or 3 different guide cameras, which we call the lipstick cameras, because they're 1.25 inches. What you'll do is you'll actually slide these into the body, and then the grub screws you set, and now you can interchange them whatever telescope you got, and you'll definitely be you'll be in focus.
Oh, so you stay in focus.
Oh, nice. You stay in focus.
So they're called, basically parfocal rings. They're inexpensive, but believe me, they come in like 2 inches, 1.25 inches. But these are something that you can definitely get and just kind of keep in your little closet or your little box, just as extras.
Nice.
Yeah, that's a time saver.
I'm just doing it right now. So here's going to be the CCTS. So
Josh just mentioned IP for AP is doing free for the weekend.
They are.
Okay.
Nice.
What are you doing, Rocky?
Nice.
Huh?
I think I'm about ready to throw in the towel on this mess over here tonight. It is cloudy now.
Of course it is.
Of course it is.
Yeah.
So all you watchers, viewers out there, I'm sorry if I'm making I really need to school my face right now. I'm on spring break. My first day of spring break, and I'm like, it's clear. I get an edge. Yeah.
All right. So here is the CCTS. We have 30 people that are now in the spinoff. So here we go.
All right.
$50 to give away to Camera Concepts. Here we go. No, wait. Okay.
All right. Here we go.
Waltz Treebergs.
Ooh,
Waltz Treebergs. Let me write that down real quick. Waltz Treebergs. And congratulations. You have won $50. And we've streamlined this to get this done really well. But you will receive an email from me to fill out some information so I can put you in our system so I can give you a $50 credit. But you have a $50 credit on your account at Camera Concepts. And I'm writing it down, Treebergs. I hope I said that right. So, all right. So that's that one. Oh, what was that? Oh, that didn't sound good.
That didn't sound good at all.
I think it was just a pen, but that's okay. All right. So let me grab the image of the week. MSG Go. Oh, Islanders won 3-0. Woohoo. All right. There we go. And where is image of the week? AstroWorld. Just give me 1 more second. I'm going to upload this one real quick just to get this one right. And raffle press. And we got the IP for 8.
How do you get entered for these drawings? Well, Norm, what you'll have to do is you can go to AstroWorldWeb.com, and there is down at the bottom there is a list of the different giveaways that you can actually sign up for.
Yeah, there's 5 of them now.
Just send me $100. I'll take care of it for you.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
It never ends.
Yeah, no.
Oh, that's not it, guys.
Oh, Scotty, I swear.
I know, man. I know.
You didn't win, Chris. Sorry, that was an accident. And we're doing IP for AP. And
you had premature spin there, did you, Daniel?
Yes. Hey, so we have 34. Well, I'm sorry. Let's get rid of the top one because he's part of AstroWorld, so he goes by. There you go. So we got 33 entries for the. This is for the IP for AP or the Masters of Pixinsight workshop. So let's go. And this is for real. And it looks like Donald Walker. So Donald Walker, congratulations. You have won a free Masters of Pixinsight workshop. Their next workshop is, I believe it's the Tuesday, the 26th of April. And that is going to be working with narrowband data. So if you don't want to use that one, that's fine. You're more than welcome to use it for any future workshop, and you'll be receiving an email from Peter Poole and myself on congratulations and all the information on the giveaway. So congratulations.
Congrats.
Hot diggity dog.
Absolutely. Congrats to all the winners.
And that was a pen that sounded like it broke, so now I can't find it. So let's write it down later.
So Dan, quick question. Do we have a guest next week?
Next week. What did I say next week?
Because I've got an idea. If we don't have a guest, I've got an idea what I think we should do for the show.
Give me 1 second. Next week is our next guest is April 29th, Dr. Gaston.
So how about we do this? We're giving advice on astrophotography. How about the viewer membership and us submit our first, second, or third image that we took? And we'll
critique. I know we talked about this.
We've been talking about this for a while.
Then we talked about it. I mean, I think the timing would be perfect that we should just kind of show them all out there. You pull them up and we just kind of go through them and just go, oh my gracious, look at this. And then what we could do is we could do like a side-by-side. We could show that first 1 or 2 or 3 and then where we are today. So you can see the before and after and just the improvement. Yeah. Wouldn't that be kind of a cool?
Yeah.
That would be cool.
That would be fun. Yeah.
All right. So once again, we'll keep it open for us as hosts and also the viewer membership that will send in the images, say our first, and then pick your choice of whatever image that you've done here in the last, 8 months to a year, and just so that we can see the improvement.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay. So for our first, do you want the first one that we actually really tried to make look good, or just the first one?
Let's say the first. It doesn't have to be the first one, but say one of the first 5. Because once again, we've all started somewhere, so we could pick somewhere in that first half dozen. What do you say? The first half dozen.
First
we can look through. Yeah,
kind of get to the point we're at now, but it would be fun just to kind of see how the improvement and really just kind of look at the first photographs, because we've all started, right?
We all started somewhere. Absolutely.
And we know that believe me, I'm looking at my first images and they're garbage, but it would be kind of cool just to see everybody's images.
Yeah, no problem. We could definitely do that. So if you guys want, you could just email them to me and I'll put them up on the web. And what I'll do is I'll put them on the picture of the week on the bottom. I'll put them on the bottom and I'll put out a post to everybody saying that take a look at the host's picture of the week, worst and the best. And we'll put that on there, and we'll put out a voting.
Now, once again, it can be DSLRs, could be trackers, can be scopes, could be CCD, CMOS cameras, doesn't matter. Just your first half dozen images, and let's just say that was your first post-processed image. After you've done your registration calibration, just the one that you thought, okay, this is it, and you've kept it. You said this is the one that I'm going to use as my standard. So that's what we'll do.
All right.
Sounds good.
So email that to me, and I'll get them up on the web. So if you can have it to me by like Saturday, Sunday, whatever, so we can put it on.
Yeah, I'll give them to you. Yep.
So we could do something and get it up by. We could talk. Let's do by next Friday. Let's say.
Yeah.
All right, we could do that. Absolutely. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do, Dan, is we'll just kind of go through and find out who the person was. You know, ask him if he remembers being out there. You know, what was the duration, exposure time, blah blah blah, and then just kind of go through it, and then show the after, which would be amazing, and just see the results.
Yeah, that'd be cool. Absolutely. I know we've talked about this for a while, so cool. We could do that. Absolutely. So everybody email you your worst and your best, and we'll make a vote for the worst and the best.
2 separate votes.
2 separate. Well, yeah, I can't do. It's got to be 2 separate. So it can't be.
Okay. No, that's perfect.
Yeah. So we'll do just please signify which one actually is the worst.
Yeah. I don't think in my well, I don't know. I might have.
And you know what we should do?
I'm still getting there.
And you know what we should do? We should keep. Let's just say it's somebody that's just new coming into the show. He's just starting out. Let's say that person. We should give him a prize, and then maybe a year from now, we'll ask him to send us another photograph, and that way we can see and just kind of comment on his improvement, his skill set, how he's actually honed his skill set. I think that would be perfect.
Cool. Yeah,
I
love
it. I think sometimes, you know, as astrophotographers, just because, you know, we're on the internet, we're on social media, we're you know, I know I'm a victim of that. You know, I compare myself not to myself 6 months ago or a year ago. I'll compare myself to somebody else, you know, to some of the other pictures and going like, mine do not look like this. Mine do not look like this. Why did mine not look like this? And I can come up with 100 reasons why, and, you know, it's steps to improve. But when I look back at the pictures that I took, when I can put them side by side, I can see that even though I'm not where I want to be yet, I can still see them like, oh, okay, I needed to put them side by side and see that improvement. I think people do need to do that. You know, we need not compare ourselves to everybody else out there. I mean, there's people out there that have ridiculous amounts of money to throw at this and, you know, tons of time, and not everybody does, you know.
But let me tell you also something, because you just made a comment, Jesse. It's like, you know, throwing lots of money at stuff. Sometimes it doesn't necessarily always take a huge amount of money. It takes patience. It takes patience to learn your equipment, you know, and patience to learn, you know, post-processing properly. You know, things like that, patience to watch YouTube videos and stay interested in this stuff. So it's not always about, you know, throwing gobs and gobs of money at stuff. It's about, you know, it's about the journey, right? Because not everybody has, you know, has a budget of the high 5 figures or 6 figures to do this type of stuff. You know, some people are fortunate and they can. You know, but others can't, and they, you know, and you just have to learn to do the best with what you have. I mean, I'll be the first one to say I don't have a lots of money, but you know what? My wife, on the other hand, she can keep saying, "How much did you spend on this stuff?" Like, and then I can,
I guess a lot of money is kind of subjective there, but.
It is subjective. It's subjective. It's subjective. It's just, you know, I'm the first one to say this. I'm the first one to say, you know what? I may not be able to at some point get, you know, like say ASI 2600, but I can probably afford the 533, you know, and it's a good camera, you know, something like that. So
right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
You know, Eric,
no, but you definitely.
Go ahead, Jess.
No, I was just going to say, I mean, I think, you know, learning how to use the equipment we have, you know, and that's so much, and you know, and it is going to take time. I mean, I think a lot of people, you know, I see, you know, I'm not on the internet as much as I had been. I've not been on a lot of those Facebook groups, just because I got a little frustrated with some of them. But you see people come and go. They come in, they spend a ton of money, they have tons of problems, and then they disappear. And you think they must have hit that wall where I don't know how to use my equipment. I'm not getting the, you know, the results that I want, and I don't have anything else I can throw money at to fix the problem. And then I don't have the patience to work with it. And then they just throw their hands up in the air, and then we've lost somebody from the hobby.
Yeah, and the key thing is not always having to throw money at it. It's the patience.
The patience.
Because money can't fix everything. Money can't fix everything.
No.
Well, Eric, that brings up a good point that maybe what we should do then, and Dan, this is kind of why we're here and why we do this show, is that let's just say that we've gotten a new member that has just started. He doesn't have a lot of money, but he really does like this hobby. And so we see that first image and we vote that, guess what? That is the worst first image. The prize that he should get then is he should definitely be able to get Masters of Pixinsight. In turn, then we can ask him to say, okay, you've kind of got this, you've gotten to Pixinsight, you've kind of learned, you're starting to hone your skill set. The caveat is that a year from now, we got to see your next photograph, and let's just kind of see what the marked improvement would be, because that's kind of what we're here for.
I think that'd be great.
That'd be cool.
I think that would be great. I think that would be great. I think I think that I would also encourage our membership, because a lot of them have been with us for some time. It also encourages those viewers and our members to say, hey, bring in other people who are interested in this hobby, who may not have, that the skill yet. They're novices, they're just getting interested in this type of stuff and getting into astrophotography. Bring them in, and have them, if they're just getting out there. Like when I first got started, I had just my simple orange C8, Nexstar 8SE, and I took my first and I had a DSLR. That's all I really had. I hooked that all up, and I took my first shot. So those people who are just really getting started, that's why I'm asking our viewers, if you know people who are just getting started, who are interested in this hobby, share the show. Sharing is caring. Share the show, bring them on in so they can get, the knowledge that you've been, and that information that you've been getting, and have them share those first photos. And then we can take a pic on, hey, we're not disparaging you. Hey, this is the worst photo, but you know what? We can see that, hey, you're interested. Here's Absolutely. A little something, out of those, how many people there are. You put in, hey, this is my worst. This is I'm new to the show. I want to participate. This is my first AP photo. Hey, put me in the wheel. Sign me up for this, and yeah, we sign you up for a free session of IP for AP or Masters of Pixinsight, so you can start learning.
I agree. That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
I think that's really good.
Some audience member is going to absolutely enjoy that, and that's right. That's kind of what we really are reaching out to, right? I agree with you 100%, Eric. I think that's a great idea.
So why don't we do that? We'll do. This is going to be kind of cool. So we'll do another giveaway, that is based on the photos that we decide that has the beginning skills that can get the most out of it. And we would give that away.
Yeah. And this strictly, and I say this is strictly, we keep it as strictly, this is something, the giveaway is for, a session of IP for AP or Masters of Pixinsight.
Yeah.
I think that's, we target it towards that, you know.
Yep. Absolutely.
So
that's actually very cool. We'll set that up on our off time, and we'll figure out the logistics of that. So.
Because what's going to be interesting is that when Eric Coles comes on, Eric is going to be discussing his complete workflow. And I mean, if any of the viewer membership really wants to see what Eric is about, you should go to AstroBin, type in Eric Coles, and see his images. He will kind of lay out, because once again, we're dealing with beginners, intermediate, and advanced imagers here. So we really can't cover the whole gambit. But for the intermediate and to the advanced, Eric is going to be discussing exactly his workflow, and he'll be putting it all out. He's going to have a terrific presentation. And so for the intermediate and advanced, I think those people will definitely get something out of it. But at the same time, we definitely want to reach out to the beginners. And I think that what Eric and Dan and what we've been discussing, that would really be a great fit for the beginners to get into this.
I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. That'll work. Absolutely.
My God.
John G would even put something out here in the comments. He put out, add a then and now section onto the website. May not be a bad idea as far as for something like this, for this piece. Good idea.
I could add. I could. Oh, good. Yeah, he saw. He sort of. So John G. Is one of our sponsors.
Yep. So let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, guys.
Yeah.
I think maybe we shouldn't put our pictures up. Maybe we could do that as a separate show down the road.
Maybe we can do that.
Or do we want to put our images up? You know, you guys decide, because
we can still throw up our images as far as, just, on the site. Maybe for a competition, but throw our stuff and saying, this is where we started. And this is what we are, this is how we started, but we've gotten here so far. So if we can do it, hey, you guys can do it too.
There is nothing more encouraging to somebody that's new than seeing some of these, people out there that have been doing. Like, you guys are just, so far, more advanced than I am, so I do kind of like, I'm like, oh, I know my pictures probably don't, measure up to a lot of the ones that are out there, whether it's you guys or everybody else. But when you're starting again, like, you see somebody that's putting out these like amazing images and they're getting these APODs, but then you see the pictures that they started with and you're like, I can do this. It does kind of bring it back down to earth a little bit, and remind people like, hey, we all did start somewhere. Everybody started somewhere.
Jesse, I gotta say, I gotta just
my stuff.
I gotta say, Jess, I think I've probably, out of everybody here, I've probably known, even though you're the most latest member of the group, I probably have known you the longest of the group. And I remember when you first started, and I honestly don't think you give yourself enough credit. You really have grown over the past couple of years. And I remember, I'll never forget the day I met you at NEAF. I'll never forget it. And she comes running up to me and she said, I know you're busy. I just wanted to say hi. It's me. It's Winky. It's Winky. and that's how I met Jesse. And then she invited me on the show that she actually set up with Pete Proul and a couple other people. And, we've had a back and forth over the years. And so, Jess, if you take a look on Jesse's Facebook page, you can see what she's been doing. Take a look at it. Give her some props, because she does a good job. So.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Because I do. I think I'm at that point where, like, I'm comparing myself to these people that have been doing it for so much longer, and they have more time to put into it. But I think the whole point is just, anybody out there that's looking at them, looking at any of these shots, just compare them to what you're doing. So I like the idea of having the before and after, just to see, like, this is where I started, and this is where I came from, and to see, our viewers, to let them show that off, because maybe they're not at a point where they feel like, man, my picture is awesome. This is like the best picture out there. Like, this is amazing. They're still feeling a little self-conscious about theirs, comparing it, but when you look at this is where I started, and my stars are egg-shaped, and I have this terrible, vignetting, and everything looks terrible. But, just being able to put them side by side, yeah, I like that. Let's do that.
So Dan, that's what we'll do then. So should we do this? You tell us what date we should definitely do this for the show. You want to do it a week today? We'll do this as the show. Or do we have a guest next week?
No, we don't have a guest until the 26th, I think. So that's 11 days.
Okay.
It's a Wednesday after. It's a week from Wednesday is our next guest.
So what we should do then is, do you want to do it next Wednesday, or do you want to do it next Friday?
Let's do it next Friday, because that'll give me a little bit of time to get stuff up and, do that kind of stuff. Because I'll have to, you guys will have to give me the pictures. I'll have to download them. I got to put them up on the site. I got to make a ribbon and a raffle and all that kind of stuff. So
sure.
Because, I think it'd be kind of cool, because I think that definitely, as I said, it can be intimidating, because once again, the whole image is that if you get good data, it starts with good data, because the old adage, garbage in, garbage out. But if you get good data, it'll be easy to post-process. It'll come in. And I think that this is going to be the format that, with the guests coming up, because, Dan, you've got your guests. We've got Eric Coles coming up.
Yep.
They're going to be showing you their workflow. And as I said, it's going to be a little overbearing for beginners. But as I said, you got to learn the baby steps to get into that intermediate phase. And then from the intermediate phase, you'll graduate into that advanced phase. But believe me, it's a process, but you'll get there. You'll definitely get there.
We got people. We got Josh asking, is this for members or for hosts? And I think we straddled this a little bit.
Yeah, for everybody. I mean, what do you think, guys? For everybody, or just to membership? You guys,
members is fine.
Yeah,
we do one for members. I mean, we can put ours up.
Yeah, we can start with members. We'll get ours up there eventually.
And I think that
like the contest doing for our viewers.
Yeah, the contest is for the viewers. I mean, that's what it is. So, and again, if you don't feel, please, if you don't feel that you would, and I don't think anybody out there thinks this, if you don't feel that you would benefit from a yearly subscription to IP for AP or a Masters of Pixinsight class, feel free to send us images, but tell me not to put you in the wheel, or not put you in the running. We have some people out there that, we have our first picture of the month winner. We have a bunch of pictures of the week winners. These are people that have done really, really good things, but even they can improve as well. So that being said, if you don't want to be in the running on it, just let me know on the side, and we could do it that way. And then,
and I've got a question. Who was the winner? Was it Chris that was the winner of the picture of the month, right?
Yeah. So
Chris,
I'll put it back on the screen again. Here you go. There's the picture of the month winner.
I'm going to ask Chris this question. Chris, I want you to send me your first, second, or your third initial image post-processed, so that people can see where you started to where you are now and how you've done that, so people can see that transition. So definitely, Chris, I'm going to ask you to do that on our behalf.
And people are asking, you know what, just for the time being, since I don't have the link up right now, I will give everybody the Google Drive link right now. And give me 1 second and get link.
Or do you just want to wait until you get the link up or get everything set up and then make an announcement on either through Facebook or something?
No, because then people could get it to me now, but the link is forthcoming for you to get there. So let me just where's the I have too many windows again. Towards this, what was that? The dog?
The other thing we could do, Pete, is do something kind of akin to your tagline, if you will, the buy once, cry once, where people showcase where they started, and how quickly they got to a rig that had solid equilibrium, that worked, versus something where they just hunt and peck, trying to find that elusive equilibrium, with a hardware environment. Because it's important to remember that what we do here is not just software; it's a mix of software and hardware. And if your hardware is suffering, I say it all the time: get it in camera.
Yep.
Get it in camera. And if you're having to do a whole heck of a lot of adjusting within software, it's much easier to get it in camera. Now, you're not always going to be able to do that. Some things you're just going to have to, because of limitations in hardware, but, having something like that too, where people, say, hey, here was my first scope. Here was my first attempt at a rig. Here was my first, look at visual versus my astrophotography delve, where I jump in full feet, things along those lines. I made that suggestion in the admin earlier this afternoon that we should have a section for buy once, cry once.
Well, let me ask you this, Scott. Maybe what we could do then is we could literally do an extension of this. We could have people send in photographs of their hardware setup. We can look at their hardware setup and visually just kind of ask them to kind of show us what they've got with the OTA, the optical train, and you're right, the mount, and just kind of make suggestions, because you're right. There's some great photographs. It doesn't have to be a 2000 or a 2500 millimeter focal length, because there's some great shots out there with wide field at 500 to 600 millimeters. I mean, even at 300 millimeters, you can get some phenomenal images. Yeah. So that's right. We can kind of segue into that after we do this. I think it's a good idea.
And speaking of the buy one's cry one's statement, and I don't know, Pete, if you've seen this or not. I don't know if anybody has actually read this. But first week in April, I put out the second edition of the AstroWorld newsletter. And I kind of changed it a little bit. Okay. And here it is. So this is the AstroWorld newsletter that I've been putting it out every month, and it gives you guest stars. And here is one of our Peter Myers statements, but it was also done by Benjamin Franklin. And that's where it actually comes from. So I put that up there, and I changed that back and forth between that and the other the buy ones, cry ones. But if it tells you all about our giveaways, it tells about what is the AstroWorld picture of the week, upcoming star parties for the next 90 days. And then this is what I really like about this. And I'm going to throw this out to the guys now because I'm tired of doing all three of them myself. So I'm going to say right now, two of you, actually the three of you, pick an object for the month of May. Let me know what it is and just write a little thing about the object and how easy it is. So one is going to do the beginner one for beginners. One will do intermediate, and then one will be advanced. Okay. So
a celestial target, Dan?
A celestial target to image in the month of May.
Okay.
So, all I did was take a picture and put a little description on it, like 2 sentences on what it is, and that's it. And I'll take care of everything else. But if everyone could, like, Jesse, if you want to do a beginner one, Pete, Eric, Scott, you want to split up between intermediate and advanced, whatever it is, I don't care. But let's talk about that after the show so we could set that up.
We can talk about it.
And then it has the links for the website and all of our other social media and everything else. Of course, the tagline at the bottom. And that's it. So take a look at that. I'll be putting this out every month.
Sounds good, man.
I kind of like this. This is kind of exactly what we're trying to do, is to kind of spread the gospel, and all of us can contribute and provide our knowledge. And I think that we're definitely reaching out to beginners, to intermediate, and to advanced. And case in point, everybody's been raving about the guests. That's the good thing, is getting some phenomenal guests that take the time, and all the guests, they've enjoyed it.
Yeah,
I've reached out to them. They absolutely love coming on the show. It's very informative, very giggles and laughs, and they just absolutely say, Pete, please, can I come back on? So we can always reach out to them.
Yeah,
so we will definitely set the guests up.
Yeah,
well, that's good to hear.
And we got a bunch of guests coming up. Pretty soon we're going to be heading up to Cherry Springs Star Party.
Yeah.
And I know that we were talking offline on looking into getting down to Cherry Springs. At least some of us coming. I believe we were talking the last week in July. I think we were talking about.
I know there was talk of it. Yeah, like that last week of July.
Could you do a live show from Cherry Springs, Dan?
In June, I'll be doing a little bit of something. I'll throw stuff in there. It's gonna maybe have to be a Zoom meeting as opposed to this, because Zoom will work from the phone. Unfortunately, Melon and this will not. So we would have to do some sort of Zoom meeting and just go live right to YouTube. And we'll definitely do that a couple days. And in a week from tomorrow, I think I'm actually going to meet up with the prodigal son. Jason Janes is going to be in New York City. Jason is one of the original three, the original trio. That he's been working like a mad dog now. We miss him, but he's going to be in New York working in New York, and I'm going to be ended up just like Eric met with him in Chicago when he was there last month. He's going to be in New York this month, and we're going to get together for dinner in Manhattan and chill out.
That's awesome.
So, that's going to be fun.
He's going to have to change his name from the lazy astronomer to the traveling astronomer.
Yeah, really, like the traveling Wilburys.
Well, I'm going to make my suggestion right now for the May celestial target. I've already got it, and I'm going to make the suggestion.
Okay.
It's going to be
Cool.
one of two choices: Rojo Ophiuchus or the
Okay.
Blue Horsehead.
Okay.
Because
I love them both.
May and June is the prime candidates from the Northern Hemisphere for both of those. So that's going to be what I'm going to request that we do. Either the Rojo Ophiuchus complex or the Blue Horsehead.
Two of my favorites.
Nice.
Awesome.
Yep. All right.
And
Cool.
Scott, you've got the big rig down there, and you're going to be at the right latitude, my friend. So
It'd be nice and high in the sky for you.
Yeah,
Yep.
it will.
Yeah, that's true.
Yep.
Yeah, I'd like to do the Blue Horsehead. That'd be fun.
Yeah.
So that's
been
going to
looking
be
for
my
a good
suggestion
one.
for May. Yep.
That
Because
might be a good
is
one.
right up May and June. It starts to set at the end of June, but that will be my suggestion for May.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Yeah, and I've been thinking hard about the tagline, Pete. You know, the buy once, cry once. I was thinking it might be kind of fun to add to the giveaway. You know, like what we do. You know, more shirts. You know, that we would do not necessarily polos, just T-shirts. You know, with graphics. And I've been talking with my wife about this tagline of yours. You know, this buy once, cry once, and we've been trying to come up with a graphic. You know, for that, just not just the lettering, you know, the tagline itself, but a graphic. And I haven't quite nailed it down yet how to illustrate that graphically, you know.
Well, I tell you, the
couple
graphics
of
on these
ideas,
shirts
so.
are unbelievable. I mean, they are great. I mean, I've gone out this week in Placerville, and I've had more people ask me, "Hey, I like that shirt. I love the graphic." And this is in 49er country, right? Gold country.
hey, listen, you know, I got to give Scott and his wife props for the engineering
Absolutely.
of the graphic. And I'm sorry, this
Thank
side.
you, Scott.
You know, so they did a great job with it. I'm sure they tag team quite a bit and bounced ideas off each other and all that. And plus me throwing the wrench in the whole the whole thing a couple times. But you know,
Used to it.
yeah, so you know, it came out great, and you know, I can't thank Scott and Shofin on the work that they did. It's just outstanding, and plus they also redid. So for those of you that are Red Giant or Main Sequence sponsors that are getting the shirts, either the T-shirts or the polo shirts, depending on where you are in the rankings, I guess. I just got the proofs today, so they should be shipping to me within this week, and then they'll get back to you hopefully by the first week in May. So that's going to be kind of cool, and it's got like a nice little Main Sequence sponsor on the bottom, or Red Giant sponsor on the bottom. So
Yellow and red.
Yep, it'd be pretty cool.
Yep.
Shirts? What shirts? Chris, I just said they were coming. Man, these people are so impatient. I'm telling you. Here you go. Closet of Death shirt right there. There you go, Chris, right there. They're coming. I promise. It took some redesigning of the logo. Me and Scott went back and forth on it for a little bit. We wanted to get it right, and we wanted to make sure that our distributor who does the stitching gets it right. And they're done. They've been proved. And hey, Dave, great. Tell me what golf course. I'll meet you. I need a golf buddy.
Yeah, and if you guys like the idea, and I'm speaking to the audience, not just our fellow members here, but if you guys like the idea of doing more and more with, you know, Astro themed, you know, graphics and shirts and things, hats, you know, can send us ideas. You know, my wife is an absolutely brilliant graphic designer, and you know, she's already put a couple of really cool ones for me together. So, but I mean, we could certainly do something like that, you know, and offer them as prizes and even put them up on the merch site. So,
yeah, absolutely,
it's a possibility.
Okay.
All right, so we're at 10:30. We're at 2.5.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, is it already? Oh my gosh, yes, it is.
Time flies.
It's late, and I actually have to work tomorrow at 6 a.m. So
same here.
yeah,
Same here.
That's ugly.
Well, you
Yeah.
know, when you're in IT, you really sometimes don't have a choice of when you work.
You don't.
You don't.
And for me, you know, being the holiday where I work at in manufacturing, this is when manufacturing, you know, operations are down during the holiday. So this is when we have to do our work.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
So
we just had a question from Jay Polanco on Discord. I'm just going to put that in the chat real quick for him. Let's see. And there's for Q&A and come on, you don't have it.
Yeah, Chris, if you're, I see you said you bought a T-shirt on the store. That's awesome. If you want to see some of the ones that my wife did, you can check out our Astro Playground, and there's links to the shirts there, and there'll be more coming. I definitely want to do something with this tagline for, you know, buy once, cry once. I think that could definitely be fun because we use it. So repeat.
Yeah.
Well, you know, this brings up a good point. I'm going to reach out to a lot of my contacts, like an example at Software Bisque. I'm going to see if we can get the SkyX and see if Software Bisque might be able to kind of, you know, give a copy of the SkyX as a gift. I'm going to reach out to Jeff Dickerman. I'll reach out to Starlight Express. I'll talk to Christine. I'll talk to the owner and see if maybe they might be interested in kind of donating a focuser. I'll see what I can do to kind of sweeten the pot up, because I think this is going to be kind of interesting. Is I think that having these kind of gifts and prizes will kind of bring in more of the viewership and the membership. And you know, once again, it's the membership right now. The best referrals are coming from our existing customers that we have watching on Wednesdays and Fridays. So please pass the word around, you know, pass the gospel around. We're looking forward to kind of, you know, having more people on board and watching the shows.
And we just hit our 50th Discord member. We just hit it. So
nice.
So
nice.
That's awesome. Thanks, guys.
Hey, man, it keeps on growing. I make that 51. We just got 51. So we got 50 and 51 tonight. So that is
very
awesome.
Cool.
Thank you for the support, everybody. Keep the community growing, because the more people that we have doing this, the more answers there will be to everybody's questions. So the more knowledge, remember, knowledge is power, man. Knowledge is power. And, you know, the only way you're going to figure out the bumps in the road is knowing that the bumps are there. So,
yeah.
All right. Let me get on.
Yeehaw.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another long show, Daniel.
Well, you know, 2.5 hours, you know, that's about average these days, you know.
It flies right by, too.
It really does. It really does. You know, 2 hours. Actually, if you think about it, it's about 5 or 6 hours a week we spend online with the community. And it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the support that everybody gives us and the love that everybody shares and the knowledge that everybody gives to each other. And you know, if I could only go through a show with Pete not bringing his Toronto Maple Leafs hat on, I'd be a happy person.
Yeah, that ain't gonna happen.
Is there an image of the week? Yes, the image of the week was pulled. And I'll show it again real quick. That was a quick question. So the image of the week was Andrus. Andrus got, I believe it was 52% of the vote. So Andrus won pictures of the week. And then for the picture of the month, again, we had Chris Friekson. And there you go. So there's our March winner for picture of the month. So everybody who wins picture of the week in April will be doing from the 1st of April to the 15th of April, we'll be doing voting for the picture of the month. So that's how that's going to work. Yeah.
Cool.
So, all right, everybody. It's been a great show. Awesome time. Thank you to everybody. Eric, Pete, Scott, Jesse, thank you so much for hanging out. Thank you to our membership. I saw up to about 45 tonight. So that's really awesome that 45 people actually decided to spend some of their Friday with us, and we appreciate everything. And if you missed part of the show, please play it on YouTube and hang out with us. And, you know, even though we won't, if you have any questions, you can always put them on Discord. So we got a lot of social media avenues that you can get in touch with all of us. So final thoughts, Eric, Scott?
No, I mean, it's again, great show. Thank you guys for all the support. Just keep questions coming, especially on Fridays. This is the forum, especially with you. Have these types of questions, think of things, share them here, or send them onto the Discord channel, share them on there too, and we'll get back to you, and other people can contribute, and add in their advice as well, or their suggestions. So, but again, great show.
Absolutely. Pete, Scott,
yeah.
Jess?
Go ahead, Pete. Age before beauty.
Oh, geez.
Oh, buddy.
I can't.
Are you there?
I don't know if he's frozen or just mad.
No, I think he's frozen. I think he may have dropped. I think he actually dropped. So, all right,
Scott, you're up.
Yeah. Just don't ever be afraid to take on a new challenge. There's plenty of help out there. If the challenge is going to be in what we do, in astrophotography, be that in software or be that in hardware, you can come in here and ask questions, and I'm sure that we'll be able to. If we can't answer the question, we can point you in the right direction. But don't ever be afraid to take on a new challenge. It's always a growing experience and good for you. So, and just send me money.
Jess, please add some sanity to the show, please.
Yeah, please.
As always, guys, wonderful show. Very much enjoyed it. I really wanted to be on Wednesday's show. I don't know if astrophotographers have fangirls, but I was kind of fangirling a little bit. I get Charles Bracken's books are right now my absolute favorite. I think I have them highlighted and bookmarked more than any other actual paperback book, your paper book that I have or have had in forever. So if anybody didn't get a chance to watch Wednesday's show, I actually stayed up for most of it. That was a great show. Great show, guys. I'm thrilled. I have no clouds all of a sudden, but I have no guiding. So,
nice.
so I apologize if I've been divided. I've not had to try and divide my attention in two directions like this. So,
you know what? You'll get used to it. Don't worry.
I figured if there's anywhere that any community that would understand, it's this one.
Yep. Absolutely. There are plenty of times where Eric or Scott, maybe not so much Scott yet, but it'll happen. It'll happen to Scott or myself. Actually, not even so much for me either. I have to run outside to check polar alignment or do something during the show. It happens, and everybody understands that. The last thing I'd like to say is for everybody, happy Easter weekend, happy Passover, happy Good Friday.
Yep.
Whatever the whole spiel. Hopefully everybody's family stays safe, stays healthy, and has a great holiday season, and enjoy the week off for the kids from school. So enjoy. There you go. And please don't use power tools with your telescope. And that being said, everybody have a good night. Remember, as always, keep imaging, keep educating, and clear skies, and we'll see you in a couple days. Have a good night, everybody.
Happy holiday.
Good night.
Happy Easter.
Keep imaging, keep educating,